Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Gotch.
Let's get moving, St. Louis. This is Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
We are basically at halftime when it comes to the Missouri legislature. So this is a good time to assess, is the progress on track to deliver what we've been promised? We're talking tax cuts. We're talking maybe tax elimination. We're talking getting government off of our backs. Well, at 7:05, Alex Riley, state representative, he's actually going to be the next Speaker of the House. He's going to be with us and give us his assessment of that, and also a little bit of a preview of the St. Charles County Lincoln Trump dinner, because he's one of the main speakers at that as well. That's going to be, like I said, at 7:05. Good morning. Happy Thursday to you. Also, what's going on with Team USA? I've got the update for what their fate is in the World Baseball Classic. All right, in St. Louis, the ICE sanctuary city kind of battle is happening once again. And here's the interesting twist, because these things are over. What will the local police department be used for and not used for? Well, that's not really a factor for City Hall anymore since the state resumed oversight of the St. Louis City Police Department. Kirk Hilsinger from the St. Louis City Republican Party was in studio with us on Wednesday, responding to a resolution that the city Democrats have agreed to, demanding that St. Louis Police and St. Louis City not cooperate with federal law enforcement. Yeah, they're still out there doing that. Here's what Kirk had to say. You actually, I think it was you emailed me or maybe you texted me, the resolution that the city Democratic Party passed, their central committee in the city, which is the power base. And, you know, it's not just a separate club. This is who calls a lot of the shots for what happens in City Hall. And they passed a resolution demanding basically that the city not cooperate, essentially be obstinate if and when there's any federal law enforcement regarding immigration in the city, if I'm reading the thing right.
Yeah, just like every other blue city. I mean, look at Chicago, look at New York, look at LA. They put out a resolution demanding that we not work with ICE. Mm-hmm. And when I looked at that, I said, well, allow me to retort. And we went and passed our own resolution in support of ICE and in support of law enforcement, which Megan Green again came out and said she was mad because the city's having to defend the police and that money could be used for affordable housing. Meanwhile, it seems like we're getting a big, huge influx of non-citizens in both the county and the city. And meanwhile, people in North St. Louis who's had their homes ripped out because of the tornado and still haven't had any relief from that are still waiting for that relief. And it seems like the city is pushing more and more resources to non-citizens. And I would be mad if I lived in North St. Louis over that.
What's their biggest argument or justification for it, Kirk?
I think it's voters.
Yeah.
I think they're wanting to import as many voters as they can because those voters do the job that no American wants to do, and that's vote Democrat.
Well, okay. They have to get, I guess they have to get past the hurdle of them being...
There's a chance that soundbite shows up somewhere down the road. I'm just saying.
The hurdle of them being able to vote, because, you know, only citizens can vote in elections, right?
However, it is perfectly legal to register non-citizens to vote, which is why we need the SAVE Act. And we do have immigration attorneys going into the Board of Elections, occasionally removing people who seem to be on the voter rolls, even though they are not citizens of the United States.
Oh.
And this has happened in the city?
Correct.
Okay. We're visiting with Kirk Hilsinger from the St. Louis City GOP. And let's talk about, okay, so the resolution, it's real easy to say, well, that was just from the Central Committee. These aren't the people elected to City Hall. This is not the Board of Aldermen. It's not like the Board of Aldermen passed this resolution. But we're talking about an incredibly direct connection between what happens in this. This is the political base of the Board of Aldermen. Have we heard a response from anybody in the Board of Aldermen to what the Democratic Central Committee is asking?
Absolutely. For days after this resolution came out, you had the St. Louis Post-Disgrace, to use your name for them, were putting more anti-ICE stories up there. The mayor came out against ICE again, and it seemed like several of the aldermen also came out in anti-ICE. So it did generate a lot of talking points for the Democrats as far as they dislike getting rid of illegal people from our.
No, but we don't know that there's anything like in the Board of Aldermen in the committee, or nobody's drafting an ordinance or anything like that. Or
not off the top of my head, but it wouldn't shock me.
And it wouldn't even matter because the city doesn't run the police department anymore.
You would think,
Yeah.
but no, they really do want to. They still sometimes think they do run the police department for whatever reason.
I don't know if there's a way to quantify this or measure this, but it seems to me that there are maybe different pockets of the city that feel differently about immigration enforcement, support for ICE, even if they all vote Democrat. So where's the biggest push coming from for this? Where is it from? South City? Is it from, where are we seeing the biggest pressure being brought to bear?
It would seem like the Rashida Aldridges, the Alicia Sunniers, those very, very far left, I call them the crazy left. The sane Democrats don't want anything to do with this, but it seems like they don't have enough power to carry that over to stop the craziness that's going on.
Yeah, this is the kind of virtue signaling that you would see behind the gated streets of the Central West End, not what you would see in the blue-collar, hardworking Democratic area of South City.
No,
not Ward 1 and Ward 2. No.
Yeah, I'm not. I'm stereotyping. I don't mean to, but I'm kind of stereotyping because there's a lot of virtue signaling that's really safe to do behind your gated streets.
Yeah, all it comes down to where you went to high school, right? This is St. Louis. So, yeah, but even with the city, even though it is, leans Democrat, it's heavily Democratic, but there are still variances in terms of what issues are of primary importance, schooling, crime, all those things. And to have this, discrete focus on this one issue when it's not even really being presented, could be an issue.
Mm-hmm.
It just seems like weird to me. I don't know.
I am seeing a lot of turn in North St. Louis, and it is the same mentality. As you know, there is a Chicago Flips Red movement as people are matter that seems like city resources in Chicago are going to non-citizens instead of the people who actually need this.
Right.
And that is being noticed all over St. Louis. They're looking and saying, hey, we need this assistance. Why is it going to people who don't even live here?
Yeah.
Yeah, and one of the expected results of that is going to be, well, for instance, is Chicago going to start voting Republican? No. But will people leave Chicago for areas that do have better policies and better government? Yeah, and you see that in Illinois. We're going to talk to Ted Dabrowski here in just a little bit. Illinois is losing people and businesses because of stuff like this. Same could be said in St. Louis here. Is St. Louis going to suddenly start becoming a bright red dot, in a conservative state? No, but it's running people out of the city. But in North City, there are people who can't afford to move. They're just stuck.
No, and I am seeing election over election, we're getting about a 1% to 2% growth in Republican votes. Not as fast as I want. We're not purple by any means, but we're going on the right direction, whereas other deep red counties are unfortunately trending the other way. And I'm telling them they need to fight this because once Democrats take over, they're going to fight like heck to make sure you don't get the power back.
Yeah, and I saw the story in the, a couple different news outlets that the Board of Police Commissioners now says, hey, there's like $20 million worth of repairs and upgrades to infrastructure, police infrastructure that needs to be done. Well, that bill is going to go to City Hall. And so they're now pushing back saying, we don't even run the police department, but you're giving us all these bills. Well, the bills are there because you neglected the police department.
That's the thing. And they're also complaining about legal representation that they have to pay for it for the police. Well, when you start removing money from the budget, what are some of the first things that go? It's training, it's resources. The police couldn't use their shooting range because it was a condemned building at that point. They whittled down the budget to 18% before the state took over. Because of Amendment 4, we had that it is mandated by law and the Missouri voters passed that they are required to pay 25% of their budget, and that's where they're getting that 7% raise number from.
Is this an opportunity for Republicans in the city of St. Louis to capitalize on, particularly on this issue, and say, look, your elected leaders aren't putting you first. They're doing exactly like the Democrats did at the State of the Union address. They're not standing up for American citizens. Precisely.
That's why I'm here. That's why we made this resolution. I'm pushing that the Democrats do not care about you, and try something different. What's it going to hurt?
Right.
And so what are the things that people, I when I'm around in the city, and every once in a while, you get somebody, hey, aren't you the guy, whatever. But I've heard so many times, Republican in the city, not going to do them. And I'm like, well, you actually do have an active Republican Party that's growing by leaps and bounds and has for the last number of years. So the new website is up. Obviously, they need to look you up on social media as well. I mean, you got the once a month meeting, but there's a lot of other stuff going on too.
Yeah, it's stl-gop.com. And yes, we are fighting. We have to fight. We have no other reason or other recourse but to fight. I have been told by many people, well, you should just move out. It would be so much easier if you moved out. I can't do that. I have to stay in there and fight. If you cannot fight if you're outside the area that needs to be helped.
Yeah, I mean, in campaigns and for local office and state representative and Congress, those are all a massive part of what you do. And I think a lot of people, just hear the narrative, well, you can't win, don't bother fighting, do something else. But that's you've got to, like when you just said, but in these areas we're gaining 1 to 2%. That's actually really significant because remember, a 1% gain on the Republican side is a 1% loss on the Democratic side. So it's actually, the numbers are actually kind of twice whatever that gain is. And then it doesn't actually take that long before it's enough of a factor that City Hall and some of the others have to start paying attention to that. And so that's a lot of momentum that's being built. I mean, obviously you're recruiting candidates and looking for people to get behind different campaigns right now as well. And it all works together.
Yeah, I'm looking to flip that first seat. When I flip that first seat, then every subsequent seat after that becomes easier. We haven't had a Republican in the Board of Elections since 2011. We haven't had a Republican mayor or majority in the Board of Aldermen since 1949. 76 years of Democrat rule. What has it gotten you, St. Louis City?
Mm-hmm. All right, don't forget, Flashback Friday. It's coming up, and Jerome needs your requests. So send those in to Jerome or send them to us on social media right here on 1019 94.1 News Talk STL. What do you want to hear from the 80s for bump music tomorrow?
News, analysis, opinion.
Funding for ICE and the Department of Homeland Security should not move forward.
What they're doing is putting politics ahead of the safety and security of this nation.
1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
Hello, everyone. It's Fez with the Moolah Shrine Circus. I want to remind you to get your tickets now for our big circus in March. We've got new exciting acts like the Swinging Trapeze, the Daring Horseman, the Human Cannonball, and much more. And kids under 12 are free with a paid general admission ticket. So go to moolah.org and get your tickets today. For the Moolah Shrine Circus, March 20th to the 22nd at the St. Charles Family Arena.
Columbo here for my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton. The knowledgeable staff at Bluff City has served the St. Louis outdoor community for decades, and they can take care of all your bow hunting needs, all your trapping needs, all your fishing needs, and more. Plus, while you're there, you can schedule a trip with a local fishing guide and shoot in their archery range. Bluff City Outdoors is open 7 days a week, 1 mile east of Fast Eddie's at 2813 East Broadway in Alton. Follow them on Facebook and at bluffcityoutdoors.com.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps in the afternoon.
Patrick Toohey, he is senior fellow with the Show Me Institute.
You can say it's schools, you can say it's crime or the perception of crime. Those are legit, but, St. Louis needs fewer reasons for people to leave, whatever they are. Mm-hmm. And even if the 1% tax isn't the top reason they leave, it's not keeping people in. And St. Louis needs to be competitive with the municipalities around them.
Tim Jones and Chris Arps, weekdays at 4 on News Talk STL.
Hi, I'm Rodney Wallner.
And I'm Jen Wallner with the Wallner Home Selling Team at Berkshire Hathaway.
Hey, Jen, how do you sell your home for top dollar?
That's easy. Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What if I want a flexible commission plan?
Call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
What's the best time to sell your home?
Right now, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
For all your real estate needs, call the Wallner Home Selling Team at 314-810-SOLD.
That's 314-810-SOLD.
Why are you going to work? It's Sunday.
It's a brand new show on News Talk STL. JC's Sunday Showgram.
The Academy Awards are Sunday night, so it'll all be about the movies, with everyone from Tom Hanks and Steven Spielberg to Siskel and Ebert, Kenny Loggins, and Harold Ramis.
Carl's out there practicing his golf swing, cutting the tops off flowers with a grass whip.
All brought to you by the Weber Automotive Group.
Sunday morning, 7 to 9. Then podcast each Monday on NewsTalkSTL.com.
1949, the last time a Republican held the top post in St. Louis City. A gallon of milk was 84 cents, and streetcars ran down Grand Avenue. Unfortunately, St. Louis City streets are no longer the epicenter of family and business life. In the 80 years of Democrat control, our city has been on a steady decline.
Hello, Kirk Ilsinger, chairman of the Republican Party for the city of St. Louis, and we believe it is our duty to provide a different path forward. I invite you to our meetings the first Thursday of every month. Learn more at stl-gop.com.
Paid for by St. Louis City Republican PAC. Curtis Farber, Treasurer.
Get up, St. Louis. It's Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Okay, so the president takes a little time away from running the war against Iran to go attack one of his fellow Republicans in Congress yesterday.
Yeah.
One of the most consistently constitutional conservative members of the U.S. House has now got the ire of the president.
From war in Iran to war on Massey.
There you go. So the president making a couple different stops around the country, including in Kentucky, to oppose Thomas Massey's reelection bid and endorse his primary opponent, which is, politically speaking, this is almost, I would say almost unheard of, but everything's on the table with President Trump. Here's part of what he said about a fellow Republican.
He is the worst person. His name is... What the hell? How did he ever end up in Kentucky? His name is Thomas Massey.
Okay, and there were a lot of clips there. And, of course, Massey has been very, very adamant about complete transparency on the, on the Epstein files, and a big problem with the so-called Big Beautiful Bill because of the spending and some of the tax increases, although there were tax cuts in there as well, of course. But Thomas Massey, and you follow him closer than I do. I like Thomas Massey. I don't agree with him on everything, but I wish we had more people with Thomas Massey's mindset, especially when it comes to spending and taxes and gun rights and things like that. Thomas Massey votes with Republican leadership something like 93, 95%.
Higher.
Is it higher than that?
It's 96 to 99%.
90. Okay, so as far as like the things Republican leadership prioritizes, he's with him, but there are times where he disagrees with the president, and for that he took the ire of President Trump, and Trump really wants Thomas Massey out of office, even though he is consistently one of the top-rated constitutionalist and conservative members of Congress out there.
Since 2016, according to the Liberty Score, which is a conservative think tank, A plus, 96% for lifetime in Congress.
On conservative stuff. That's not
conservative.
You see, that's not even necessarily Republican stuff, because the Republican Party is increasingly less conservative.
And for comparison, pretty much everybody else is in like the 60s or 80s. I mean, there are a few that are more recent to the scene, but for this long of a career, Gun Owners of America gave him 100% on Pro 2A things. There are a couple of think tanks, but I don't want to belabor the point.
Right.
Point is that if President Trump understood actual conservatism, this is the guy that we should have more of in Congress.
Did you see the notes that I wrote on the I always send a show sheet, what we call the show sheet, to Susie and Jerome every day. And then I never script out the show, but I actually put just like bullet points here. Did you see what
I did not see that until now.
You can go ahead.
You can go ahead. Unleash Jerome and allow his blood pressure to go up, in parentheses, just a little. Yes, you know me too well. Okay.
That's exactly what happened. So, and this is one of those because it used to be that it was Reagan's 11th commandment: you don't attack a fellow Republican. And this is one of the and I'm just talking as an observer here, is that the Republican Party has pulled back from prioritizing that conservative foundation. And I don't know that there's really anybody who can argue against that. And they've gone to this populist movement. And populist movements come and go. You know, Tea Party was very populist, although it was fiscally very conservative. And so it's just a changing dynamic in the party. And so what's going to be interesting is to see after these midterm elections, regardless of whether Republicans hold on to power or if Democrats win the House, which I think it's very possible they might, will the Republican Party reset and say, we need to go back to looking for conservatives in President Trump's lame duck years, which are just around the corner.
And I just want to add as well, Thomas Massie and Rand Paul, who's also under attack right now from President Trump, both of them actually fought against the impeachment of President Trump when that was going on. They were very advocating against impeaching him. And the person that Trump is endorsing against Massie actually left the Republican Party in protest of Donald Trump's nomination.
Right.
And that is now who...
Did you see Laura Ingram's stupid thing on social media yesterday? Did you see
No.
this? Okay, so she's talking about the Save America Act. And then she said, and these are the senators Trump has to deal with in trying to get this passed, basically. These are the ones in the way. And she listed a couple, and she listed Rand Paul. And Rand Paul, of course, retweets her and goes, I'm literally a co-sponsor of this bill. Don't you have fact checkers who work for you?
It's not about facts anymore.
No,
it's just
it's
smearing the
not.
people that might be a wrench in your plans.
Yeah, and that's the thing. It's like, essentially it used to be a rhino was somebody who wasn't conservative. Now a rhino is somebody who is so conservative they disagree with the populist movement from time to time, just on occasion. That's how things have become kind of all cattywampus here in politics these days.
Remember those magical moments in Mom's kitchen? The heavenly aroma of fresh baked cookies? At Trolley Stop Bakery in Chesterfield's Forum Shopping Center, our co-op of talented bakers has been perfecting that homemade magic for 4 decades. From the gooeyest cookies in town to custom pies, cobblers, and cakes, everything's made from scratch, just like Mom and Grandma's recipes. Need that perfect corporate gift? We ship our famous cookies nationwide. The Trolley Stop Bakery, 67 Forum Shopping Center, or TrolleyStopBakery.com. Because some traditions are too sweet not to share.
Hey guys, don't miss Straight Lines with Elizabeth Kaiser every Sunday evening at 8 p.m. where we talk about so many areas, including AI, law, and health. We have some fantastic guests on my show just about every Sunday. Don't forget, Sunday evenings at 8 p.m., Straight Lines with Elizabeth Kaiser.
Stand and Fight with Nick Schroer.
Hey, it's Nick Schroer. To preserve this nation, to preserve the experiment in liberty that our founders envisioned, we must take a stand and fight.
Stand and Fight with Nick Schroer. Sunday nights at 6.
Only on News Talk STL.
With all of the celebrations, anniversaries, and holidays coming up over the next few months, where are you going to go to get that special something for the special people in your life? Newsteaders Fine Jewelers, of course. Newsteaders Fine Jewelers found 24/7 at wowdiamonds.com. Tim Jones here to tell you all about Newsteaders Fine Jewelers. Richard Newsteader and his team serving our region since 1961 with awesome, honest jewelry solutions. They've got everything from diamonds to wedding engagement rings, hand-engraved items, pendants, earrings, and so much more. You can find them 24/7, wowdiamonds.com. That's Newsteaders Fine Jewelers, wowdiamonds.com.
This year, America turns 250, and News Talk STL is celebrating our nation's semi-quincentennial all year long. News Talk STL, #1 for live and local Soros-free talk, with proud supporters of our 250th birthday celebration. Freddy's Market, Iron Bear Customs, and STL Windows and Doors. 250 years strong, and we're just getting started. 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
A Disney cruise is no ordinary vacation. It's an adventure, a fairy tale, a dream. Step aboard and discover where favorite Disney characters meet fun for the whole family, where total rest and relaxation meet the ultimate escape and excitement, where a dream vacation meets a magical cruise. Only on Disney Cruise Line, where magic meets the sea.
Magic Expeditions will make planning your Disney cruise easy. Reach out at magicexpeditions.com.
A celebration 100 years in the making. The National Route 66 Centennial Kickoff Celebration, presented by Vital Farms. Thursday, April 30th through Sunday, May 3rd in Springfield. The celebration kicks off with musical guests featuring Little Big Town, Chris Jansen, Gary LaVox, Gretchen Wilson, the Ozark Mountain Daredevils, and the Haygoods. Events continue through the weekend. You are invited to celebrate Route 66 with us April 30th. Tickets and information on Route66Kickoff.com. Brought to you by the Missouri Route 66 Centennial Commission.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Belfast, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Greg Clugston in Washington. Unrelenting Iranian attacks on shipping traffic and energy infrastructure again pushed oil above $100 a barrel. Already today, Iran has hit a container ship off the coast of Dubai, caused a blaze near Bahrain's international airport, and targeted a major Saudi oil field with a drone attack. And Iran is also blocking the Strait of Hormuz, which is a vital shipping lane.
The Strait of Hormuz is so important for the world's economy that governments are looking at how to reopen what has now become an energy choke point. French President Emmanuel Macron envisages France and other countries using warships to escort tankers and container vessels. The navies of France, the United States, and other nations have recent first-hand experience. We spoke to former naval officers who have previously navigated in the Hormuz Strait. They said that warships and commercial vessels would be sitting ducks if they tried using the strait's narrow shipping lanes now.
Here at home, the Trump administration has launched a new process aimed at replacing the tariffs struck down by the Supreme Court.
Other alternatives will now be used to replace the ones that the court incorrectly rejected.
President Trump last month, after the Supreme Court struck down the tariffs he'd unilaterally imposed under an emergency powers law.
We have alternatives. Great alternatives.
And his administration's now pursuing one, launching a trade investigation into manufacturing in foreign countries.
Could be more money. We'll take in more money, and we'll be a lot stronger for it. We're taking in hundreds of billions of dollars.
Trump and his team seeking to replace those lost revenues by using different laws. Ben Thomas, Washington.
Major storms whipped up tornadoes that killed at least 2 people in northwest Indiana and leveled buildings in Kankakee, Illinois. More on these stories, townhall.com.
This is Dennis Prager for AmFed Coin and Bullion. There's something about the feel of a gold coin in your hand and the way the light reflects off its intricate details that has always captivated me. Nick Grovich, AmFed's owner, turned that same passion into his livelihood. Nick began collecting coins as a teen, and that interest grew into a nationally respected business offering only the finest quality coins at the most competitive prices. But the truth is that although Nick is a rare coin dealer, he doesn't believe in rare coins. Rare coins do not make sound investments, but they do make dealers a lot of money. See, that's part of what I respect about him. AmFed specializes in buying non-performing numismatic coins and turning them into gold or silver investments that provide liquidity and perform competitively against the market. Whether you're buying or selling, call 800-221-7694. That's 800-221-7694. AmericanFederal.com.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Meteorologist Chance Scotch with your first alert forecast. Things have really settled back down. A chilly start to the morning with temperatures back towards the mid to lower 30s. This afternoon, highs towards the mid 50s, mostly sunny skies. Winds really start to ramp up Thursday night into Friday. Could be seeing wind gusts up to 30 miles per hour. That'll start to taper off into the early morning hours Friday. High of 61 degrees for Friday, then into Saturday, 63, partly sunny. By Sunday, could see some chances of some rain and even some thunderstorms. That could switch over to some light snow late Sunday night into Monday morning. In the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch.
This hour of News Talk STL brought to you by Chris Cooper and Serenity Wealth Management. Discover little-known strategies that could be the difference between choosing the care you deserve or having someone else decide it for you. Get a free copy of Chris's book at SerenityLTC.com.
Public schools, like public libraries, should be free and open to all. Open enrollment allows parents to choose the school that's the best fit for their children. Maybe another school has a wider curriculum, is bigger or smaller. Maybe a kid is being bullied and would be more comfortable at another school. 75% of parents favor open enrollment. Open enrollment programs now exist in 43 states, and Missouri should join them. Our next-door neighbor, Kansas, has one of the strongest open enrollment policies in the nation. Kansas parents are trusted with choices and options, while Missouri parents must move out of their home to change public schools. And it's a trend. Nationwide, the percentage of students going to their chosen public school has steadily increased. Assigning kids to schools based on their zip code is the old way. Open enrollment is a better way. Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
On the next Larry Connors USA.
The story behind the story. Jonestown, where more than 900 committed mass suicide.
Larry Connors USA. Now weeknights 6 until 8 on News Talk STL. Mike Ferguson.
Boo! Relax, nerd.
Susie Moore.
And that would be a good time to respond with some applause.
Get up! Get up! Can't you hear the alarm? Get up, St. Louis.
That's a banana republic without the banana.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Okay, so when is the U.S. going to ease up on the bombing? We don't know, but the answer is not yet.
That's, I mean, we'll know when we know.
We'll know when we're running out of things to bomb. But it's going to keep
That's not
going.
a bad thing.
Right. Also, a former area police officer is going to prison.
Uh-oh.
This is an ugly, gross story.
Oh, I think I know which one this is.
Yeah, so this is the kind of stuff that is nightmare material here. And Team USA gets a break, and the SLU basketball player gets a big honor.
Yay.
Yeah, a lot going on here. A lot of sports today. A lot of stuff's going on in the news that's sports. All right, 6:06 right now, which I think we kind of need with all the heavy-duty stuff that's happening out there. 6:06 right now. Let's go ahead and start with the news dump.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out.
They got all the news.
The morning news dump.
All right, you remember that old Journey song was like "Keep on Running"?
No.
Yeah, I think it was back in the Escape album, which would have been like early 80s. It was just "Keep on Running," and I'm thinking
I don't know
we
that
could do a
song.
parody of it, just "Keep on Bombing."
Oh.
At this point.
Oh, a little dark.
Yeah, and I'm just, if you're going to do that sort of thing. AI, do your thing. All right, after traveling back to D.C. following his trip to Ohio and his trip to Kentucky in order to take swings at Thomas Massie, President Trump spoke to the press outside of Air Force One, commenting on the timeline of the war and what he expects from a new Iranian regime.
It's already been won. It's just a question of when. When do we stop? We don't want to let it regrow, and ideally would like to see somebody in there that knows what they're doing. In other words, they can build a country.
Okay, and obviously, as we know, that the war in Iran is affecting gas prices, among other things. And so what's happening now is the U.S. is going to tap into the Strategic Petroleum Reserve amid that oil supply shock, is what they're calling it, that sent prices above $120 per barrel for a very short time earlier this week. Those prices have come back down. And that's because ships are reluctant to travel through the Strait of Hormuz because of missile and drone attacks from Iran. As a matter of fact, we're getting reports from Newsmax, among others, that another 4 oil tankers have been attacked by Iran just in the past several hours. Energy Secretary Chris Wright was on the Ingram Angle, and he says he expects oil is going to start flowing soon, but that's not stopping the U.S. from tapping the SPR.
They'll go over about 4 months, but this conflict I don't think goes that long. I think we will have the Straits of Hormuz open well before then.
And so basically the Strategic Oil Reserve is basically kind of a price stabilization factor here. If there's worry about, oil not being available, then you tap into that so the supply is there. Frankly, could this also be a signal that this conflict's going to last longer than we thought, maybe, if we're going to the Strategic Oil Reserve this fast?
It could be. The G7 did theirs as well.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
So is it, okay, this is going to last longer, or look, we just want to get ahead of this so that we don't end up in a situation where we've got it out of control?
Yeah, and President Trump basically said, I filled it up once, I'll refill it again.
Yeah.
Which is very doable.
Especially now under the current energy policies and practices.
All right, let's see here. Of course, national security, a big part of the conversation here, and that brings us to the update on Senator Markwayne Mullin. Senate preparing to hold confirmation hearings for Senator Markwayne Mullin, obviously nominated by President Trump to be the next Homeland Security Secretary. Senator James Lankford was on Fox's America Reports, and he says he expects not only Mullin to get confirmed, but to have pretty broad support across both parties.
You're going to be surprised at the number of Democrats that even step in and actually support Mark Wayne. Mark Wayne is a strong conservative, but he is also somebody that talks to both sides of the aisle.
Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer says he wants to see reforms to DHS before confirming a new secretary. I'm not sure that Chuck Schumer is going to have much of a say in this one.
Yeah, good luck, Chuck.
Okay, let's see here. Let's move on to some other policies because other things are happening. Some of it is regulatory reform. Some of it's just, frankly, big government. Congress is getting closer to passing bipartisan legislation that supporters say will encourage more affordable housing, particularly when it comes to construction.
The bill, which has broad support from industry groups, would overhaul regulations to make it faster and cheaper to build new housing. It would also modernize rules for factory-built housing and ban large investment groups from buying more single-family homes. The Senate bill is co-sponsored by Republican Tim Scott and Democrat Elizabeth Warren and is backed by President Trump. Greg Clugston, Washington.
Yeah, so reducing and modernizing the regulations to encourage the housing, basically getting the government out of the way. That's a good thing anytime you get that out of the way. I still have an issue with government saying this company can buy that, but this company can't.
Yeah,
I got a small government free market issue with that.
I'm a little iffy on that, but this is overwhelmingly popular. It passed 82 to 11.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, that tells you, for once, there's something that they're all like, yeah, okay, this is good.
Yeah.
We don't have to fight about it.
Or at least there's more good than bad, or however.
Either that or they're all getting, something cushy out of the deal. I don't know.
That would never happen in politics.
No, never.
No, jeez. All right, Senator Josh Hawley trying to end FDA approval of the abortion pill.
Yeah.
Interesting approach here. And it's not new. He's done it before. Mifepristone is the chemical abortion pill used in the majority of abortions in the United States.
11% of cases, women who take the drug mifepristone for use in an abortion experience a serious adverse health event. Now, that's the technical term. What it means in practice is internal infections, sepsis, hemorrhaging, a trip to the emergency room, a life-threatening condition in 11% of cases.
Okay, the FDA is disputing that claim, saying mifepristone is safe and that serious complications are more rare than 11%. Hawley filed similar legislation last year that did not pass the Republican majority Congress.
Yeah, so I don't know if this is going to pick up any steam or not. Yeah. I don't fault him for. I think this is a good issue to advocate on. And I think it would be interesting to compare the notes and see where the disparity is. The bottom line is you've got people that are taking it that aren't being properly supervised by medical, with medical care. And so then you're having issues that could be very dangerous.
Yeah. And, some pro-abortion advocate groups, they say, well, the serious complication rate is actually closer to 1%. Which is still a lot of people. This is mifepristone, which isn't this what used to be called RU-486?
47, I think.
47, RU-480.
Yeah, I think
RU-480
so.
something, yeah.
Yeah.
They've renamed it because the chemical compound name, people, the left didn't like that very much. But this is about 2/3 of the abortions done in the country are the chemical abortions through this pill.
Now, yeah. Mm-hmm. Yeah, so it'll be interesting to see whether that gets any traction. I feel like they're focused on so many other things right now. It might not, but I don't fault him for taking up that issue.
Okay, a former Florissant police officer going to prison for 2 years.
Okay.
Yeah, after admitting to abusing his authority and searching for nude photos on women's phones. KMOV's Corey Stark has the story.
In December, Julian Alcala pleaded guilty to 20 counts of deprivation of rights, specifically the right to be free from unreasonable search and seizure. Alcala was accused of pulling over nearly 24 women in 2024, taking their phones to his patrol car and searching for photos. He has been ordered to pay a $2,600 fine as well.
And what he would do is, if he found the photos, that he would just take a picture on his phone of their photos.
I have questions.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, aren't there cheaper, less job-threatening ways to get nudies?
Yeah, I would think so.
I'm pretty sure if I wanted to, I could right now, and I don't have to pull anybody over or invade their rights.
I hear tell that there's some of those on the internet.
That's what I hear too.
Yeah. And so he was pulling him over, and he was demanding their phone, saying, if they say, well, it's on my app, okay, give me the phone, I'll find the insurance. And that was the guys. And of course, at the time that this was happening and the charges were filed, lawyers everywhere were going on media like, you do not hand them your phone, show them your phone, but do not hand it to them. I actually keep a printout copy of my insurance card.
I mean, it's almost like a weird fetish compulsion thing. Like because there's so many other ways if you wanted access to that sort of material, you could get it without threatening your job or violating other people's rights.
Right. Yeah, this was among the dumbest things I've ever heard, pervious things, and I'm glad this guy's not a cop.
Yeah. Ew.
Yeah.
Ew. And then what was he doing with them?
You don't want to know.
Well, no. Okay, I'm not
it's
asking.
I'm not asking early in the morning for
I'm
that.
not
Okay,
asking for TMI. I'm saying like, what's the benefit of having them off of somebody's phone versus?
It may see probably like to the fetish thing you're talking about. Probably just the power trip.
I guess.
Yeah.
But how did he get found out? Do we know?
That I'm not sure. I don't remember that part of
So
the
like
story.
he wasn't blackmailing them. I guess was my point.
No, I have not heard about blackmail. I think it was just like for his personal collection.
Weirdo.
Yeah, very much so. All right, Italy beats Mexico. Final score 9-1, and that means Team USA advances to the World Baseball Classic quarterfinals.
Yay!
Yeah, so the U.S. is going to play Canada on Friday in that game. Blues back on the road. They're in Carolina tonight to play the Hurricanes. That's a 6 o'clock game. FanDuel's got it. And Slu's Robbie Avila, that's the really, really tall guy with the glasses and the tattoos. He is named the Atlantic 10 Conference's Player of the Year.
Nice.
Destination, making cold mind to fight your war. Stop it right now. I have had enough of this. Turn my eyes to you.
Well, there you go again, listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
All right, hunters, outdoorsmen, outdoorswomen. Let's be really frank here. You live the lifestyle. You're an outdoorsman, outdoorswoman, like I said. You know who's the real deal, and who's not, right? All right, Mike Ferguson here for my friends at Whistle Pig Outdoors in Troy. They're the real deal. Okay, Jason, his son, Cole, they run this business because they're really good at it, and they live the lifestyle. What does that mean to you? Well, obviously, turkey season's right around the corner, okay? So that when they stock their hunting clothing, their outdoor clothing, I mean, they're talking about clothing from Old Tom. We're talking about Bandit. We're talking about First Light. We're talking about the good stuff. They make sure that they are only going to sell you high quality because that's all they're going to use. Why? Because they're not hobbyists, because this is the lifestyle. When you're getting ready for your hunting season, now's the time to do it. You can stock up on your turkey calls, your decoys, your hunting ammunition, even Winchester, Migra, Apex, you got it. And they've right now got some whistling deals over at Whistle Pig. Check this out here. By the way, whistlepigoutdoors.com. It's a new thing that they're doing. They just basically are buying in heavier quantities so they can offer some discounts. For instance, 2 Browning ground blinds available for your hunting. Okay, normally that's going to run you $400. It's going to get you $200 at Whistle Pig right now. Whistlepigoutdoors.com. You can check it out. They've also got the Alps Outdoor Triad Blind Chair. Go with those blinds that you've got. It's normally $120. Under the whistling deals right now, $60. And this is high quality stuff. They do not stock the junk. They just don't. High quality. They test basically everything that they put out there, and they live it themselves. WhistlePigOutdoors.com, or you know what? Just going up to Troy on Main Street. Check out. I love hanging out at that store. Matter of fact, Susie and I are going to be there in a week or two. We're going to be up there doing the show from Whistle Pig Outdoors. Check them out. Said Mike was bragging about them. Put them to the test, especially if you're a bow hunter. Because they've got a bow tech in-house, and they will get you the updated crossbow or traditional bow or high-tech bow. And if you want to keep using yours, they will service it and tweak it. WhistlePigOutdoors.com in Troy.
Jamie Allman here, tossing and turning over retirement worries. You're not alone. 3 out of 4 Americans share your concern about having enough saved. But here's the thing. A comfortable retirement isn't out of reach, even if you're planning for 30 or 40 years ahead. Every day, Jeff Portman from the Gemini Wealth Group helps people avoid the critical mistakes that can derail their retirement. Build your path to financial confidence. Visit GeminiWealthGroup.com or call Jeff directly at 314-888-0123.
Securities and advisory services offered through LPL Financial, a registered investment advisor. Member FINRA, SIPC.
Simply Health with Dr. Brian Deloney.
What if you could get a full body strength workout in just 20 minutes?
while protecting your joints and improving longevity. This week, I'm joined by Dr. Josh Carter from Body 20 to talk about the science of electromuscle stimulation and how strength training is one of the most powerful medicines for aging well.
Simply Health, Saturdays at noon on News Talk STL. To find out more about Simply Health Integrated Medical, log on to simplyhealthintegrated.com.
Tony Colombo here for Gutter Pros and Exteriors, your all-in-one service team that brings years of experience and quality that's affordable right to your doorstep. Christine and I discovered Gutter Pros and Exteriors when we bought our home and inherited a gutter problem. And they've also repaired siding damage on our home because along with gutter repair, gutter installation, and leaf protection, the Gutter Pros team are also the best for repairing other exterior damage, including fascia, soffit, and all siding repair and installation. Learn about all the ways Gutter Pros and Exteriors can help your home or business right now at gutterpros.com.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Hey, Chris Arps from the Tim Jones and Chris Arps Show. Make sure that you're listening to our show this afternoon from 4 to 6. Now back to the Mike Ferguson in the Morning Show.
You know, Chris talks for a living, obviously, but he kept a secret.
He did.
And if you go to our website, you go to our social media, Chris just beat cancer.
He did.
I had no idea. I found out through our social media, and I've known Chris Arps for 15 years. I had no idea.
I did know, but I'm also a cancer survivor. So
yeah, right. So he's got kind of his thoughts on that on our social media, especially for us dudes and dudes of a certain age.
Yes.
To take some of that testing recommendations seriously. So check that out.
Absolutely.
And Chris, we're glad you're sticking around.
Yes, we are.
And Becky's
Way to go,
glad
Chris.
you're sticking around. Yeah.
Absolutely.
All right, 6:21 right now. We got a lot of these big serious stuff that affects our lives. We're going to cover today. We're going to talk about it. Don't get me wrong. But you want to delve into a little bit of the politically ridiculous, just to get started.
Sure, why not?
Yeah, I mean, it's not one because we can things. You remember the worst mayor in America, Tiffany Henyard?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Dalton, Illinois. And she was the mayor of Dalton, and she was also a supervisor on one of the township boards that kind of overlapped it. And this made all kinds of national attention because there were brawls and fights and weaves getting thrown around everywhere.
Yep.
And millions of dollars missing, but her and her posse were flying all over the country with expensive trips everywhere on the taxpayer dime, and she was taking out billboards saying the people's mayor, and doing the influencer social media thing all at the same time. All in the meantime, they couldn't get basic documents like transparency done. I mean, we're talking like, where's the money going for the city?
Well, that's not fair to ask.
So she ended up getting tossed out of office by the people. And I mean, it was like the national news and the Chicago news were in this little tiny town of Dalton because it was so crazy.
Yeah, we covered it. I covered it at Red State too. Mm-hmm.
Okay, well, she's making her political comeback.
Oh,
she's
doing a little
to.
Marion Barry?
Even weirder.
Okay.
She is now moved. She doesn't live in Dalton, Illinois. She doesn't live in the Chicago area anymore.
Okay.
She's moved down to Georgia.
Okay.
Yeah, she's moved. She's moved down to Georgia, and she's now running as a Republican. Yep. She who once declared herself to be the super mayor. She's now a candidate for South Fulton County District 5 on the Fulton County Commission.
Oh.
So here's the thing. Which one, by the way, because she was like that whole controversy thing, that was like 2024. So
it wasn't that long ago.
I don't know how long you have to be somewhere before you can run for office. Or usually there's a residency requirement.
It may be pretty brief for a smaller position like that. But weren't there some criminal charges?
Oh, yeah. Well, there were criminal investigations. Okay. I don't know that they're completed, but according to Fox News, she's not been charged. That doesn't mean she won't be, but she hasn't been charged.
Okay.
At this point, she's not been charged. I thought the same thing, too. And so the Village of Dalton's bank account, little town, $5.6 million when she became mayor, which for a small town, that's even not a huge account, but that's what they had. By the time she was run out of town, they were in the negative $3.6 million.
That's not good.
No. And so it was ugly. She was yelling. At one point, she's yelling because people were demanding answers, and she did the whole, I'm a black woman in power, how dare you? And it's the whole audience is black.
Yeah.
And she's like, how dare you? I'm a black woman in power. And they're like, yeah, with our money.
Sorry.
With the black people's
Sorry,
money.
that does not actually give you immunity.
No.
Sorry, we have some amazing people that leave comments in our streams.
Yes. We do.
Don from YouTube, good morning, Don, says, the devil went down to Georgia. She was looking for a vote to see.
Well played, Don. Well played.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. It wasn't even just politics either. After she lost re-election, she lost a court case from a landlord who said she and her boyfriend were behind on rent by like $10,000.
Wow.
So that's outstanding as well. So she is now running. The Democratic primary apparently is full of like 3 or 4 people. She was the only person who filed as a Republican. So she's going to be in the general election for Fulton County. And Fulton County is that's the big county down there.
Well, it is.
Yeah. So
I was going to say she might, check in with Fonnie Willis and see if she's got some extra cash laying around if she's got money trouble.
Just don't hire Fonnie Willis's consultant or something like
No.
that. So yeah, so Tiffany Henyard now thinking, oh, this is Georgia. They're not going to know me down here.
Georgians read red state.
That's
Just saying.
Right. They have TVs, they have phones.
Yeah.
Good God. All right. Have you ever also here? Okay, I love this next one. Have you ever gone up to vote in some election and you look at the candidates and you're like, I don't like any of these. I wish I could vote for like literally anybody else.
Yes.
Okay. I've done that. I think we've all done that. I remember like when my daughter became old enough to vote. I remember the first election, I'm showing her the sample ballot. And I just went, I'm sorry, it's not usually this bad. So here's the thing though. There's a community in Texas that does have the opportunity to vote for literally anybody else.
Really?
Yes. A 37-year-old man went to court, legally changed his name to literally anybody else. And he's now running for a mayor position in Texas.
He's got my vote.
Exactly. So he was born Dustin Eby. Says people still call him Dusty. But he decided that this is kind of a gimmick shtick. The mayor was running unopposed up until the filing deadline. Apparently, he says he's not very popular, the mayor. So he after changing his name to literally anybody else, he filed to run. He's not really going to campaign, but people are going to see on the ballot this mayor or literally anybody else.
I admire his ingenuity.
Yes. He says he's going to go back to court and change his
Change
name
it back.
Yeah. After the election. But voters in, which town is this? It is in North Richland Hills, Texas.
That's like outskirts of Dallas? Maybe?
That's what I think. I haven't been to Dallas in forever, but I think that's right. So if you see literally anybody else, are you tempted to vote for it, Jerome?
I mean, yeah. It depends, though, because I do like our state level representatives.
Right.
City could obviously be improved to some degree, but we're already getting that direction to go with. But yeah, at the federal level, I think literally anybody else might have my vote.
Yeah. Well, and I think locally people are probably going to know who the players are. They're going to know who the current mayor is, and they're going to know this guy. They're going to know this story.
You would hope so.
Yeah. It's on the northeast outskirts of Fort Worth.
Oh, Fort Worth. Okay. Okay. Which, Dallas-Fort Worth is a big metro area. Now, back in the days that I was in the Libertarian Party, I don't know if they still do this because, like everybody else in the world, nobody pays attention to them anymore. Nobody paid attention to them then. I just didn't know that at the time. But there was a big push, like on their platform, was to include NOTA, N-O-T-A, on every ballot. None of the above. And what their argument is that if none of the above had more votes than anybody else, you disqualify those candidates and force another election with different candidates. That was their proposal.
I mean, there's logic to that.
Yeah.
It's not completely unreasonable.
Right.
It might be impracticable.
Mm-hmm.
I could see that. And on principle, I like the idea of it, but I could see that being very easily abused.
Right.
You know, to get rid of actually good politicians and get some other people in there.
Right. So, like, let's say somebody's running, it could be partisan or not. So, if there's like a city council race and it's Susie and Jerome and Mike and Noda, and Noda gets, 28% of the vote, and we end up getting 24 each, whatever the math, the math comes out to that. We would be disqualified, and they would have to open up and let somebody else run in, and then it could be, Columbo,
Literally
and
anybody
Larry,
else.
and Jamie, running. Literally anybody else. Yeah.
Right. Or Tiffany Henyard.
Why not? Apparently, she's a Republican now. I
Apparently.
think that her Republicanism is just as real and natural as all that blonde hair.
Maybe.
So you knocked the wind out of me.
I
with
did,
that.
I did.
Threw him off his game.
So time is almost out to reserve your spot at next weekend St. Charles County Republican Lincoln Trump dinner. The deadline to reserve your seats or a whole table is tomorrow, which is also Flashback Friday. Get more information at NewsTalkSTL.com.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Our country was founded by geniuses, but it's being run by idiots.
On News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Meteorologist Shane Scotch with your first alert forecast. Things have really settled back down. A chilly start to the morning with temperatures back towards the mid to lower 30s. This afternoon, highs towards mid 50s, mostly sunny skies. Winds really start to ramp up Thursday night into Friday. Could be seeing wind gusts up to 30 miles per hour. That'll start to taper off into the early morning hours Friday. A high of 61 degrees for Friday, then into Saturday, 63, partly sunny. By Sunday, could see some chances of some rain and even some thunderstorms. That could switch over to some light snow late Sunday night into Monday morning. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch.
Hey, when pests invade your home, you need someone you can trust. It's Jamie Allman here, and at Buckingham Pest Control, they're not just your exterminators, they're your neighbors and friends. A locally owned family business and St. Louis Magazine A-List award winner, providing affordable, quality pest control. Plus, they offer energy-efficient TAP attic insulation, the only insulation that controls pests. BuckinghamPestControl.com. That's BuckinghamPestControl.com.
Mike Ferguson here. Retirement should be a time you can relax. No more stress from work. But there's one thing you can't forget about when retiring. That's your money. Do you have enough saved to fund your income for life and keep up with inflation? How will you claim your Social Security benefits? And what about long-term care? The ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel is here to help answer all of these questions. You can hear their latest views on the markets and investing during On the Money, hosted by Stifel financial advisors Bob Stockdale and Eric Robert, every Saturday morning at 9, right here on News Talk STL. They can help you get organized, guide you through critical retirement decisions, and create an investment portfolio designed around your needs. To schedule your free retirement plan consultation, go to clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call 636-695-2650, 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Here's my problem.
Completely agree with your sentiments.
He talks about how we're divided. Well, yeah, we are.
And we need to wake up as a country and realize what's going on.
101.9 and 94.1.
Number one for conservative talk.
News Talk STL.
She keeps a Moet Chandon in a pretty cabinet. Bethany cakes, she says, just like Marie Antoinette. Building a remedy for Khrushchev and Kennedy. At any time, an invitation you can't take.
Bill O'Reilly here. Check out the O'Reilly Update this afternoon at 3:45. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
All right, tax cutters in Missouri are getting some support from around the country.
Good.
People who specialize in this sort of thing.
We like that.
National campaign to back the effort to eliminate our state income tax is now up and running because basically as of today, we're at halftime.
Yeah.
In the halftime in the Missouri legislative session.
That's right.
Yeah. Matter of fact, the House Majority Leader, Alex Riley, going to be with us at 7:05. He's going to be the next Speaker of the House, and he's on board with this.
Awesome.
So we're going to get some of the inner workings on that. But right now, Leah Vukmir from the National Taxpayers Union joins us right now. And Leah, thanks for being on the program here. Because first, you all are bringing some national ammo to this fight. But you've been there and done that, having been in the Wisconsin legislature, state senator as well. So what do we know about the push to eliminate a state income tax? We know that it can work in other parts of the country, but what are we seeing about states who go from having this to not having it and either replacing it with something else or forcing themselves to cut spending in addition to that? What's that transition look like? Who's done it well? How do we allay the fears that, the roads aren't going to get fixed and police aren't going to be around and, dogs and cats are going to live together and we're just going to have a horrible, horrible anarchist world now?
Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for having me on the show. And yes, it's exciting. It's an exciting time for your state, and I hope your listeners will be ready to vote and support this resolution that will be on your ballot in November, provided it gets through your legislative chambers. It's already passed one hurdle in your House. Today will be a final vote, and then it'll go over to the Senate. And what we're talking about is a resolution which will eliminate over a period of time your state income tax. And it's a vote that is put to the people. The people will decide whether or not they want to do this. And you're right, there is a huge trend across the country to start moving in the direction of eliminating completely income tax. And already we have 9 states that have no state personal income tax: Texas, Florida, Tennessee, Nevada, Washington, Alaska, Wyoming, South Dakota, and New Hampshire. But in recent years, other states are making very successful efforts: North Carolina, Indiana, Kentucky, Mississippi, states close to you, I might say, Iowa and Georgia. And so it's exciting to see that you have leaders like your governor. You have the Speaker Patterson, Representative Bishop Davidson was managing the bill or the resolution on the floor. And it is a trend, and it is a positive trend. And the states that move in that direction, guess what they find out? People start moving to the state. People start putting businesses in the state. They want to live in an environment that values their work and doesn't take money right out of their paychecks right off the top before they even have a chance to save, spend, or plan for it. So it's a positive direction for your state, and I commend your leaders for the work that they're doing. Commend you all for talking about it, because it really will be up to the people to decide, and that's a great democratic process.
Leah, you would think that most people would intuitively think, oh, great, I have the opportunity to lower my taxes. I'm all about it. But there seems to be this sort of inherent resistance, at least in some quarters. I don't know if it's like Stockholm syndrome or what, but what do you feel like is the biggest pushback against this sort of change, and how do we go about combating that instinctive resistance?
It's a great question, and I think what people have is a knee-jerk reaction that the sky is falling. This is going to put a huge hole in our budget, and we're going to be in a more difficult financial situation. And, interestingly enough, in your own state over the course of the last 7 to 12 years, you have gradually lowered your income tax bracket. And what has happened is, and I heard this information when I was listening to the debate on the House floor the other day. Of course, yes, I'm a geek, and I was listening to your Missouri debate. In your state, what has actually happened is you've seen an increase in revenue over the period of time that you have actually been moving in the direction of lowering your income tax. So it's astounding to me that people don't understand that what this does is it broadens the tax base. It makes taxes more fair to more people. Because right now, what you're operating with in Missouri goes back to the 1930s. And you have, I think, 216 sales tax exemptions. You have decades of carve-outs that are secured by special interests. And how is that fair? But going to the elimination of the income tax what actually creates a situation where it's more fair to more people. And again, your lawmakers will decide if this gets passed in this session, the exact specifics on how this will be done. But what I know for sure is that you will use triggers, which means you will not move faster than your economy is growing. And these are the safeguards and the guardrails that will help maintain and ensure that the sky doesn't fall and you don't blow a big hole in the budget, which is the biggest cry that you will hear from the people on the other side of the aisle.
All right, that voice you're hearing is Leah Vukmir from the National Taxpayers Union, also former Wisconsin state lawmaker as well. So here's one of the other complaints that I'm seeing a lot of here, and they're saying, well, it's about tax fairness, because what you're talking about is there are things right now that are not taxed on sales taxes. And of course, in the 1930s, when a lot of these rules were written, we didn't obviously have any concept of streaming services and things like that, and that would all be included. So there will be that broader base that people are going to pay sales taxes on. I've heard the argument, Leah, that with income taxes, you have to make so much money before it applies to you. Now, Missouri's is pretty low. Almost everybody pays into it. Sales taxes are economically described as regressive, meaning they hit the poor hardest. So we're actually going to raise taxes on people who are going to feel it more than maybe we would for our Netflix purchase or whatever the case is. What's the answer to that regarding that sort of pushback on the tax fairness by replacing income with a broader sales tax and the different lower economic statuses?
Well, my argument is that income tax is already penalized your work and productivity, and sales tax can be designed to exclude essentials like groceries and medicine. Things haven't been decided at this point, but income tax elimination allows workers to keep more of their paycheck, and that benefits middle-class families, and we have seen this happen. There have been a surge of middle-class families moving to states that have no income tax, Tennessee, for example. I mean, the migration statistics are astounding, and you can go to our ntu.org website and see we have compiled, my colleagues have compiled a map of the United States, and using IRS data that counts how many taxpayers move in and out of states and what causes them to move is this sort of tax situation. Of course, Florida is number one. A new taxpayer on net most frequently, a new taxpayer, a resident goes to Florida every 2 minutes and 9 seconds. Guess what state is at the bottom?
California.
Of course. They lose another taxpayer most frequently on net every minute and 44 seconds. Now, Missouri's doing pretty well already. I think you're at 16, and you can probably move that up if you move in this direction, because you have, like Wisconsin, and I love my state, although our highest bracket is 7.65. I wish we were in a position like you are in Missouri. But what you're doing, what you have in Missouri, is a great heartland, Midwest values lifestyle that people want for their families. And you can enhance that one step further by moving toward no income tax. Excuse me.
And what are the structural fixes that we should be looking at? I mean, obviously, we're wanting to phase out the income tax, but there are other elements to this that would be key, don't you think?
Well, right, and that will be the triggers. And the triggers, excuse me, I don't know what's happening. It's early in the morning.
We get choked up about this
I was
side of
gonna
thing
say,
too.
yeah. I'm a little verklempt
You talk
myself.
about being a geek about watching that. When we talk about cutting taxes, I mean, it hits me in the feels too. It just
Absolutely.
Okay, but what we have to understand is the proposal doesn't eliminate it all at once, and this is, I think, the part that the good citizens of your state need to understand. It lowers the rate slowly when the state collects more revenues than expected. So it's kind of like a ratchet that only turns down in one direction. So you start at your current income tax rate, which is 4.7, and then every year the state will look at how much general revenue comes in. If the revenue grows at least $20 million above a set baseline, then the income tax rate automatically drops 0.01%. So every time the state hits another $20 million increase, the rate will drop until it gets below 1.4%. And at that point, this amendment, this resolution, if it becomes an amendment, eliminates the income tax entirely. And then it is part of your state's constitution, which means it can't come back unless another process like this goes through by a future legislature.
Okay, Leah, Susie and I talked to Governor Keogh on the opening day of the session. He was on the show, and he mentioned an aspect of this that I thought was fascinating, and that is you have to control spending in order to make this work.
Absolutely.
And he, of course, Governor Keogh, I've actually known him a long time. He said something to the effect of, if you keep putting feed out there, the hogs are going to keep eating in the trough if you just keep feeding them. So it's a way of restraining that in the way that we like to talk around here. But the other aspect of this is, what have we seen in other states who have done something similar as far as getting rid of a tax and replacing it with something else? Is there a history of that restraining government growth and restraining the spending because it's just not allowed because the dollars just aren't there?
It's an absolutely important part, and I was getting to that part, and I'm glad that you brought it up, because you can't have this discussion if you are a conservative without talking about spending restraint. It goes without saying. And yes, the other states that have done it. Now, Iowa is a great example for me because they've dramatically reduced their personal income tax, and they're moving to a flat tax system. They haven't done it completely. They're not going to a complete 0%. But they have done it in such a way that it's a bit early because they just did it, but they are including spending restraints in that. And I think that's the will and the resolve that you will have to see that will couple any resolution that gets passed and put before the voters. They have to go hand in hand.
Leah, we just got a minute or so left, but are you up for a question from our audience?
Sure.
Okay. We've got Bill.
Yeah, Bill is a union member in Missouri who just had a quick statement about this.
Bill, you're on so you're on with Leah Vukmir from the National Taxpayers Union. Which question, just so you know, Bill, I just got a minute or so left.
So we have a lobbyist for us, and he just came back and said inside that law that you're trying to pass, you're actually going to hike up the state sales tax to 19%. And that's like smoke and mirrors.
Did you say 19%, Bill?
19%.
19%, okay.
Came back with. So you got to find the money somewhere. When you give us a treat, you got to pay for it.
Okay. All right. Hey, Bill, thanks for the question. Okay, Leah, 19%. I have not heard 19% of a sales tax.
No, and this sounds like a classic tactic, scare tactic done by lobbyists. Again, no percentage has been decided at this time. That's the beauty of what your resolution is right now. You're putting it before the voters to decide whether or not they want to move in this direction. The actual direction that your state goes will be determined by the next set of elected officials, which the people have a voice in deciding. And again, 19% sounds a little crazy and high. But again, what you're trying to do is you're trying to broaden your tax base to create a more fair tax system. What has happened in other states that have done this is it's led to economic growth, more jobs, migration to the state, and you couple that with spending restraint, and I don't think you're going to be in a situation of a 19% sales tax increase. Again, I think that is just meant to scare people away from a good public policy that would benefit the vast majority of people living in your state.
Okay, Leah.
And
sorry,
new people who want to move to your state, maybe even folks from Wisconsin.
Yeah, we'll take them. We'll take them. It's a little bit warmer down here. All right, so Leah, you all are launching a national campaign website. The billboard's up off the Poplar Street Bridge now, I think. So people want to learn more about your all's take on this and your push on this, and they can compare and contrast with what they're hearing from other places.
Yes, they can find us at NTU, NationalTaxpayersUnion.org. We're the oldest taxpayer advocacy organization. We've been around since 1969, and we're the voice of America's taxpayers. Happy to help out in any way.
Okay.
Thanks so much for having me on the air.
Thanks, you, Leah. All right, then there's a website, looks like no-mo-tax.com as well.
Very good.
Yep.
Oh, yeah. You know what?
What's that?
It's Thursday.
It is.
That means tomorrow's Friday.
That's true.
It's Flashback Friday.
Uh-huh.
So if you've got requests for bumper music, you need to get them in to Jerome at NewsTalkSTL.com.
My Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I've driven all over Washington, D.C. I cannot find the money tree.
On News Talk STL. St. Louis's new choice for conservative talk. Live and local.
I need to know what's going on in my city.
News Talk STL.
The Herzog Tomorrow Foundation provides private school tuition scholarships through Missouri's new Most Scholars program to cover the cost of accessible, high-quality schooling.
Hi, this is Myella Esser with the Herzog Tomorrow Foundation. Our private school tuition scholarships wouldn't be possible without the support of generous Missouri taxpayers. If you're a Missouri taxpayer interested in redirecting your tax dollars and sending them to Missouri students in need of a better education, please contact me at herzogmostscholars.org.
Better education for students creates a better tomorrow for all. Learn how you can help provide a better education for Missouri students at herzogmostscholars.org. That's herzogmostscholars.org. Also, sign up for The Lion, an initiative of the Herzog Foundation that carries articles covering a wide range of issues facing American families and culture. herzogfoundation.com. That's herzogfoundation.com.
Susie Moore here to talk to you about windows. Window World windows are one of only 2 replacement windows with Good Housekeeping seal of approval, and they're ranked number 1 in the country for number of windows sold by Qualified Remodeler magazine. In just over 20 years in business, they've improved the look and thermal efficiency of more than 80,000 homes in St. Louis. And the St. Louis location has been owned, operated, and managed by born and raised St. Louis residents for more than 23 years. Window World products are durable, secure, energy efficient, and beautiful, and they use a double-strength glass not commonly used in replacement windows. Plus, you get a lifetime warranty that covers all parts, glass breakage, and labor. Window World can also help with siding and doors, and their customer service department is available 7 days a week, something a lot of competitors can't say. In fact, over half of their appointments come from repeat customers or referrals, which says a lot about their commitment to customer service. Right now, Window World is offering 36 months, same as cash financing, with approved credit. So call for a free in-home estimate, 1-800-GET-WINDOWS, or visit windowworldstlouis.com. Again, it's 1-800-GET-WINDOWS.
Lindenwood University and News Talk STL invite you to an exclusive discussion on Missouri's tax future. Manish Bhatt, Vice President of State Tax Policy for the Tax Foundation, will explore our state's tax competitiveness and the latest efforts to eliminate individual income tax and property tax. Wednesday, March 25th at Lindenwood University, part of the H.F. Langenberg Speaker Series. The event is free, but you must RSVP at hammondinstitute.org. That's hammondinstitute.org.
This hour of Mike Ferguson in the Morning is brought to you by Stifel. Request a portfolio review from your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Good morning, St. Louis. Hey, it's Vince from The Vince Show right here on News Talk STL every weeknight at 8. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson on 101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
We have essentially won, but we're going to keep going. That's what the president is telling media and the world at this point. A former police officer going to prison, and for a very gross way, he deserves it. Yeah. And Team USA gets a break and lives on in the World Baseball Classic, and a SLU basketball player gets a big honor as well. It's coming up on 6:53. Let's squeeze in a quick news dump here.
The Morning News Dump.
Are you joking? Is this a joke?
Listen, folks. The Morning News Dump.
Okay, after traveling back to Washington, D.C., following a trip to Ohio and Kentucky, President Trump speaking to reporters outside of Air Force One, commenting on the timeline of the war in Iran and what he wants to see from the new regime.
Most people say it's already been won. It's just a question of when. When do we stop? We don't want to let it regrow, and ideally would like to see somebody in there that knows what they're doing. In other words, they can build a country.
And, of course, he's still not going to commit to a timeline, which you would not expect from any president. That would be not a smart strategic move.
Correct.
Yep. All right. And, of course, I noticed last night I was in Afton, and the price was $3.29 a gallon.
Yep, that's what I'm seeing pretty much around the area.
Right, which isn't a massive jump, but it's very noticeable. That's 30, 40 cents over the past, 2-3 weeks.
That's a pretty big jump.
That's a,
I will call it what it is. It's a pretty big jump because we had gone down under 249.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, we're up almost. That's true. That's 80 cents. That is a lot.
It's a lot.
So the U.S. is going to tap into the Strategic Petroleum Reserve because this is what economists are calling a global oil supply shock. And that's because up to 20% of the oil is not going through the Strait of Hormuz because Iran continues to attack any tankers that try to get through there. They actually hit another 4 of them in the last few hours as well. Energy Secretary Chris Wright was on the Ingram Angle on Fox, and he says he does expect oil to start flowing through the strait soon.
They'll go over about 4 months, but this conflict I don't think goes that long. I think we will have the Straits of Hormuz open well before then.
And there's been a request that the U.S. Navy do escorts for the oil. They've turned that down because of the obvious targeting and the extra risk to the naval fleet as well. So at this point, last check I saw, we're not escorting those oil supplies through the Strait of Hormuz.
Oh, interesting, because I thought it was President Trump who made that suggestion.
Yeah, the way that, at least the way that the report that I've got right in front of me, it reads, here's the actual copy. It says, President Trump told ships to go through the strait Wednesday, saying it's safe after American forces took out 16 Iranian mine-laying ships, but the Navy rejected escort requests due to the risks.
Yeah, but I mean, last week he issued an order or proclamation, something that I wrote about, where he said we're going to have the U.S. ships escorting through, and we're going to encourage them to have the additional risk insurance.
Right. Yeah. So if
something has changed, then,
maybe it's on the way too, but at the moment it doesn't look like that's happening. Okay, so Senator Josh Hawley is taking a different approach. I've got a lot of disagreements with Josh Hawley, but when it comes to pro-life stuff, he's about as solid as you get, without a doubt. He's trying to end FDA approval for the abortion pill. Mifepristone is the chemical abortion pill used in the majority of abortions in the U.S. We're talking about 2/3 of the abortions in the U.S.
11% of cases, women who take the drug mifepristone for use in an abortion experience a serious adverse health event. Now, that's the technical term. What it means in practice is internal infections, sepsis, hemorrhaging, a trip to the emergency room, a life-threatening condition in 11% of cases.
All right, Senator Hawley, his claims are being disputed by the FDA. The FDA and pro-abortion activists are saying mifepristone, which used to be known as RU-480 something.
Yeah, I think there's some overlap between there. Yeah, but it's by far the most common use.
2/3 of the abortions. And so the activists and the FDA say that mifepristone is safe and that serious complications are more rare than the 11% that's been cited in some studies. Hawley filed similar legislation last year that obviously did not pass in the Republican majority Congress.
Maybe it'll be different this time around. We'll see.
Yep. All right. This is one of those shocking stories. I remember when the trial happened and the arrest was made. A former Florissant police officer now going to prison for 2 years after admitting to abusing his authority and searching for nude photos on women's phones. KMOV's Corey Stark has the rest of the story.
In December, Julian Alcala pleaded guilty to 20 counts of deprivation of rights, specifically the right to be free from unreasonable search and seizure. Alcala was accused of pulling over nearly 24 women in 2024, taking their phones to his patrol car and searching for photos. He has been ordered to pay a $2,600 fine as well.
Yeah, just gross.
Weirdo.
Yeah. All right, got a few sports things here to squeeze in. Italy beat Mexico in the World Baseball Classic. What that means is that Team USA advances to the quarterfinals. They're going to play Canada on Friday. Cardinals do not have a game today in spring training. Slews, Robbie Avila. He is named the Atlantic 10 Conference's Player of the Year.
When I have business clients or guests from out of town, I often take them to Cafe Napoli. I know they're going to enjoy any of the Napoli locations. Cafe Napoli in Clayton, Napoli 2 in Town and Country, Napoli 3 in St. Charles, next to Napoli C, Napoli Kirkwood, or Napoli Brothers Pizza and Pasta in the Chesterfield Valley. Excellent food and intellectual conversation, if they bring the intellectual conversation. And NapoliSTL.com, NapoliSTL.com.
Why are you going to work? It's Sunday.
It's a brand new show on News Talk STL. JC's Sunday Showgram.
The Academy Awards are Sunday night, so it'll all be about the movies, with everyone from Tom Hanks and Steven Spielberg to Siskel and Ebert, Kenny Loggins, and Harold Ramis.
Carl's out there practicing his golf swing, cutting the tops off flowers with a grass whip.
All brought to you by the Weber Automotive Group.
Sunday morning, 7 to 9. Then podcast each Monday on NewsTalkSTL.com.
Hey, Colombo here for Intervine, a great local company that has customers all across the country due to the quality of their products. Intervine has the best flashlights, lanterns, headlamps, and even batteries, including the new Monster 2000 Lumen waterproof lantern and the Sentinel 2000 self-defense flashlight. Our home and vehicles are full of great Intervine products, and right now you can shop their website and get 25% off your entire purchase just by using my name, Tony, as your promo code. That's promo code TONY at Intervine.com.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefontaine, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Greg Clugston in Washington. Iran attacked commercial and civilian ships overnight as U.S. and Israeli strikes continue to target the capital, Tehran. The UN Security Council is demanding a halt to Iran's targeting of neighboring Gulf states that threatens global oil supplies.
The war is not just dealing a blow to the oil and gas industry by shutting down the Strait of Hormuz, but also shutting down the few ports in the Middle East from where oil is exported. And the Iranians really seem to be digging in order to create a prolonged economic shock. The Iranian Revolutionary Guard has now said that international Western financial institutions are also legitimate targets because they say that one of their banks has been hit.
The BBC's Barbara Platt-Usher reporting. With oil prices now back above $100 a barrel, the International Energy Agency agreed to release 400 million barrels of oil, the largest volume of emergency reserves in its history. The U.S. also plans to release 172 million barrels of oil next week from its Strategic Petroleum Reserve to counter soaring prices. President Trump traveled to Kentucky yesterday where he condemned a Republican member of Congress. The president is upset with Kentucky Congressman Thomas Massie for disagreeing with many of his policies. And he said he hopes Massie loses in the upcoming GOP primary.
We got to get rid of this loser. This guy is bad. He's disloyal to the Republican Party. He's disloyal to the people of Kentucky. And most importantly, he is disloyal to the United States of America. And he's got to be voted out of office as soon as possible.
Speaking in Massie's home district, the president went on to call the congressman stupid. More on these stories at townhall.com.
We all hear the radio ads about the IRS. They tell you to be afraid, to be scared, and they try to frighten you into calling. I'm not here to do that. Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, we have a solution. It doesn't matter if you're sitting in your car, at work, or with your kids. No matter where you are, call now. 800-575-2341. Don't lose hope. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS. Generous programs are now available that can give you a fresh start. Our passion is taxes and helping individuals fix their IRS problems. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with the Better Business Bureau. You don't need to be afraid of the IRS any longer. End your tax nightmare today by visiting us online at TRA.com or call 800-575-2341. That's 800-575-2341. Tax Relief Advocates. Real solutions for real people.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Meteorologist Shan Scotch with your first alert forecast. Things have really settled back down. A chilly start to the morning with temperatures back towards the mid to lower 30s. This afternoon, highs towards the mid 50s, mostly sunny skies. Winds really start to ramp up Thursday night into Friday. Could be seeing wind gusts up to 30 miles per hour. That'll start to taper off into the early morning hours Friday. A high of 61 degrees for Friday, then into Saturday, 63, partly sunny. By Sunday, could see some chances of some rain and even some thunderstorms. That could switch over to some light snow late Sunday night to Monday morning. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shan Scotch.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Rodney and Jen Wallner and the entire Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway. Call them today at 314-810-SOLD. 314-810-SOLD.
You can feel the Clydesdales circling the field, hear the stands come alive, smell the hot dogs, the popcorn, and cold beer in the air. See the crowd rise as the first pitch hits the glove, and just like that, a new season begins. The countdown is on until opening day, and tickets start at just $49. Don't miss St. Louis's favorite holiday. Get your tickets at cardinals.com/opening day.
This season, step up to the ultimate game day experience with Cardinals all-inclusive tickets. Enjoy a full buffet, complimentary bar, and unbeatable views inside Busch Stadium. It's great food with great company for every pitch, hit, and home run. Choose your experience in the Budweiser 703 Club, UMB Champions Club, Proficient Red Jacket Club, and more. See the game like a VIP with all-inclusive tickets. On sale now at cardinals.com/tickets.
Mike Ferguson.
I don't know how to put this, but I'm kind of a big deal.
Susie Moore.
They look very aggressive. I think they want to beat me up.
Get up, St. Louis.
So it's time to get out of bed. Pour yourself the greatest cup of Kofifi the world has ever seen. Rise up with one voice, drain the swamp, and take back our country. Today's the day we're going to do it, and it's time to do it right now, believe me.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
Okay, on the Missouri side of our News Talk STL listing area, what happens over the next couple of months is going to determine what a lot of this year's elections around Missouri look and sound like, because Republicans are going to either follow through with all the big promises and be able to run on the successes, or have to explain themselves on the campaign trail. We're basically at halftime of the Missouri legislative session as of today. The Republican supermajority has the opportunity to deliver on some big promises, and a lot of things are looking pretty good right now as well. So it's halftime. Let's check the score, shall we? We're now joined by State Representative Alex Riley. Now, currently the majority leader, going to be the Speaker of the House here. So, Alex, appreciate you being on the program here. Overall, you go into the session, you being in leadership, you know the pressure's on. You know the grassroots conservatives are saying, okay, we don't want to hear, oh, gosh darn it, the clock ran out on this one. Let's try again next year. The governor, you, the Speaker, Senate leadership, they said this is the year. We're getting some big stuff. Overall assessment, how do you like what is moving forward, and are there areas we still need to be concerned and put some more of that grassroots pressure on?
Well, good morning, and thanks for having me. Great question to start things off. And I would say the session, particularly on the House side, is off to a fantastic start. So by the time we get done with session this afternoon, we will have passed over 100 bills out of the Missouri House of Representatives and over to the Senate. And the vast majority of those bills are good, strong, common sense, conservative legislation that we all as Republicans say every election cycle we want to do. And what makes the legislature of the past couple years different from prior legislatures is we are actually delivering on those promises and getting the big things done. So just to name a few, earlier this session, we passed out of the House legislation that will make permanent the current ban on boys playing in girls' sports. That's obviously a huge win for conservatives and our grassroots here around the state. Same thing with making permanent the ban on harmful transition procedures and medications for kids. So that's another big one. And today, probably the biggest bill of the session will be being passed out of the House. And that's the bill that will eliminate the state income tax in Missouri if approved by the voters later this year. That's been our top priority bill as Republicans. And it's something that a lot of us have been talking about for a very long time, both in the conservative grassroots as well as here in the legislature. But until this year, there was never really a path to get that done. But this year, the path is cleared. The governor has been leading on it, which I certainly appreciate as someone who's been wanting to do this for a long time myself. And we're going to have that bill. It's a House joint resolution, which means it's a constitutional amendment, over to the Senate by the close of business today. And that is a huge one. That is going to be a transformational win for Missouri that will set us as one of the leading conservative states in the nation.
Good morning, Alex. This is Susie Moore. Obviously, the House has been busy, as you mentioned, passing 100 bills thus far, and many of them on some of those top agenda issues. And now we have to get the Senate on board, too, which is a slightly different process. I understand.
Little different vibe on that side of the building. Yeah.
Right. But that's not where your focus is going to be. Your focus is obviously in the House. So I guess my question is this. Once you guys come back from spring break, then where do your attentions turn? Are you then focusing on items that have come over from the Senate, or do you guys have even more agenda items you're hoping to get passed before the end of the session?
So it's going to be a combination of both of those things. Once we get back that first week of session after that midway spring break point is going to be taking up the budget for the state of Missouri and passing it out of the House and over to the Senate. So last night, our House Budget Committee worked very late into the night to get the budget out of committee and in a position where it can be debated on the House floor. And the budget's a tricky widget this year, mostly I think for a lot of good reasons. So unfortunately, over the past 10, 15 years, the Missouri budget has grown at an extremely high rate. A lot of that is because, and this is for a good reason, the state's economy has been stable and growing at a relatively decent clip, which means you have revenues coming in for good reasons. It's not because taxes are going up. Actually, taxes have gone down, but it's because the economy in the state is stable and growing. The more problematic part of it is the extreme amount of federal deficit spending and the way that they've sent money to they've sent money all over the place, but they've sent money to the states. And we've done, I think, as good a job as any state in trying to use that money responsibly, trying to do, a lot of one-time infrastructure, building projects, those types of things. But at the same time, because that money is now stopped, which is good. It's good that the federal government is not printing as much money as they used to and just throwing it around. That means that the state does have some hard choices to make on budget items going forward. So that's going to be a big conversation when we come back. But at the same time, we're not just focused on the budget. There are additional policy things we want to do. And we want to make sure that our conservative wins that we've passed through the House do have a path through the Senate and do ultimately make it to the governor's desk. So I do work very hard to make sure that our House members' bills are progressing on the Senate side. I've got good relationships with the Senate leadership and a lot of the senators over there. So we will be working hard on the Senate side, too, as soon as we get back from spring break to move our House priorities through the Senate. In fact, just yesterday, the Senate passed one of our big priority crime bills. It was a sex trafficking bill to help address that problem here in the state. Unfortunately, we have a large sex trafficking problem through much of the state, including along the I-44 corridor there between where you're at in St. Louis and where I'm at in Springfield. And the Senate passed our House bill out of the Senate and sent it back to us, and we're going to take that bill up and send it to the governor's desk today. So even though the Senate is always a challenge, there are a lot of good things still happening, and legislation is still moving through the process.
Okay, I want to preview your appearance coming up in St. Charles County here in just over a week. In a moment, we're visiting with State Representative Alex Riley, the House Majority Leader, and going to be the next Speaker of the House of Missouri. Now, along the budget aspect, you're talking about the hard choices that were going to be made. You, the Speaker, the Governor, when we talked to him, they've pointed out hundreds of millions of dollars are going to have to be cut in the spending. Is that going to actually happen? When you look at where things are right now, is the state going to be spending less money this year in this next budget as in the one that you're working off of right now?
Yeah, I think the answer to that is yes. So one of the really good things that the founding fathers of Missouri ensured was in our state constitution was a requirement that our state budget be balanced. So we cannot spend more money as a state than we have. And that's going to help ensure that our budget is smaller because because, like I said, revenues are down, not because of the revenue that we generate within the state is down. That's actually up a little bit, but because the federal component is down. So I think because we have that balanced budget amendment, that will force those hard choices to happen.
So constituents that want to make sure that things are staying on track and keep the proper amount of pressure on their representatives on, what key issues do you think they should be honing in on to kind of get their legislators' ears?
Yeah, well, I think it depends on each individual for what they're most passionate about. But I would say, with some of these big things that we're working on, property tax reform. We haven't talked about that yet, but we've passed a number of property tax reform bills out of the House over to the Senate. That's a big one for our conservative grassroots groups. For them to keep the pressure on both the Senate side and House members, just reminding our legislators that that's important to them. That's always helpful, letting them know, hey, we want to get rid of this income tax. We want to see Missouri boom economically and grow like a lot of the other no-income tax states. That's something that's important. Really, whatever it is that's important to our conservative grassroots, just having those voices continually reach out to state legislators to let them know where they are, what's important to them, is very helpful.
All right, you're going to be in the area next week at the St. Charles County Lincoln Trump Dinner. Now, by the way, tomorrow, Friday the 13th, that's the last day to reserve your tickets or if you want to get a table. So just heads up, everybody, on that. If you want to be there, you need to move on that. Details at NewsTalkSTL.com. But, Alex, you're going to be featured speaker. What is it that we can expect from you? Give us a little preview of sort of rallying the troops.
Yeah, so we're going to be talking a lot about what we've already accomplished this session, what needs to happen in the future. We've got some big things that I know you guys have covered on your show that are going to be on the ballot later this year with a pro-life amendment that's designed to reverse that really terrible abortion amendment that got passed and is now in the Constitution. We have a really important initiative petition reform amendment that's on our ballot because of the work that the legislature did in special session last year, and that's designed to make sure that special interests from outside the state don't continue to corrupt our state's constitution. We're going to talk about that. We're going to talk about the importance of making sure that Republicans show up to vote this coming election cycle. Right now, it's looking like a very challenging environment across the country, including here in red states like Missouri. And we're going to talk about the need to get out and make sure that our friends get out and vote to, one, support Republican candidates for House and Senate to make sure that we still have these majorities to do the big conservative things, but also to make sure that these conservative initiatives that we've been working on for years and years, and in some cases decades, that are now on the ballot because of the work that the legislature has done over the past couple of years, actually get passed all the way, and that all those efforts that we've put in are fruitful. So those are just a few things that we'll talk about.
All right, State Representative Alex Riley. We've already tagged you on our social media platforms as well, but we'll look forward to seeing you next week and appreciate the update.
Excellent. Thank you guys for having me so much. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks, Alex. We keep talking about taxes. You want to learn a little bit more about what's going on here in Missouri? You want to go to this event. It's the Missouri Tax Future Competitiveness, Reforms, and Proposed Policies event at the Hammond Institute, and it's being presented by NewsTalkSTL. Vice President of State Tax Policy for the Tax Foundation, Manish Bhatt, is going to be the speaker. It's Wednesday, March 25th from 6:30 to 7:30 on the Lindenwood University campus. It's part of the H.F. Langenberg Speaker Series. Don't miss this discussion about Missouri's tax competitiveness and the current individual income tax and property tax elimination efforts. The event is free, but you've got to RSVP. So for more information, go to hammondinstitute.org.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
I like it, but they're going a little overboard with the dancing.
On News Talk STL. Colombo and Company.
President Trump said, quote, there's practically nothing left for the military to target in Iran, so then what's next? We'll discuss Thursday, plus Senator Nick Schroer, Virginia Kruta, and Dr. Randy Tobler.
Live and local weekdays at 2 on Newstalk STL.
Hey, Tony Colombo here with Tim Jones for our friends Rodney and Jen Wallner, the Wallner home selling team at Berkshire Hathaway, the #1 home selling team in the St. Louis area, and I can say that from firsthand experience. My wife and I were blown away from the results that we saw from working with Rodney and Jen, from selling our old home faster and for more money than we thought possible to finding our family's perfect new home. They over-delivered every step of the way, and right now it's still very much a seller's market. So, Tim, for folks that have been thinking about selling their home, it's a perfect time to call the Wallners.
That's right, Tony. And don't forget, they're licensed in both Missouri and Illinois, so no matter where you are in the metro area, you can put St. Louis's #1 home selling team to work for you. The Wallners' experience and work ethic, second to none. And of course, the numbers speak for themselves. The Wallners sell 15 times more homes per year than the typical realtor. Right now, they're working with so many qualified buyers, they'll guarantee to obtain you an offer. If you've been thinking about selling your home, don't wait. Call the Wallners now at 314-810-SOLD. That's 314-810-SOLD for the Wallner home selling team.
I've got Dr. Michael Lewis here, West Point graduate, physician, and retired Army colonel. Is considered the world's leading expert on the use of omega-3s for traumatic brain injury and concussions. Stuart Tomp brings over 30 years of experience in the supplement industry, brought $1 billion of products to the market, and has appeared in over 6,000 media interviews worldwide, and travels internationally and teaches on health.
Stuart Tomp here, and I've come across the biggest breakthrough in personalized nutrition I've seen in 25 years.
Dr. Lewis here. For the first time, we can measure cellular and gut health. So you can start testing and stop guessing and make decisions based on real data. I'm working with world-class scientists and physicians, and what they're doing is changing everything.
You can message me at elizabeth@statmedicalllc.com. That is elizabeth@statmedicalllc.com.
Thanks for taking my call.
News, analysis, opinion.
Radio news junkie. Love every bit about it.
News Talk STL.
I love that you're starting your day off right with Mike Ferguson in the morning. It's your boy Joe Pags. Talk to you tonight. But now let's get back to Mike.
Okay, I got a story to tell you here. And this is going to be like file under why Mike's life is so weird. Things that confirm Mike's life is really weird.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, life is really weird.
Legit.
Yeah, and I put this up kind of on my personal social media last night, and man, did that get people interested in me. I couldn't tell who was rooting for me and who was rooting against me on this one.
That's okay.
Yeah, it was. So I'll tell you what happened here. Let me know what you think. But obviously, not just what's happening in Missouri, not just what's happening in St. Louis, around the world, around the country, so much going on. That's why we partner with redstate.com. And so, Susie, where should we start today's reading?
This is the Red State Rundown.
Today's theme is axes.
Axes?
Axes and axing. Ready?
Oh, okay.
All right, we got one from Ben Smith.
Yeah.
Britain considers axing Churchill from banknotes, replacing him with beavers.
What? How?
Don't ax me.
Do we appreciate Churchill more than his own country?
Don't ax me.
Jeez.
Next up from Bob Hogue, we've got axe-wielding psycho picks the wrong Florida brothers to mess with. We'll think twice about actions next time. This dude tried to attack these kids in a car wash as they were closing up. Just so happens the older brother was an MMA trained fighter.
Oh, yeah.
He got the better of the axe wielder.
Yeah. Oh, geez. Okay.
Yeah. It's kind of an interesting story. You might want to check it out.
Just a bit.
Yeah. And then we got a VIP from my dear friend, Andrew Malcolm.
Mm-hmm.
As a society, we've forgotten how to wait. It's about how everything's like instant gratification. And he raises a really good point. It's some food for thought. So take a deep breath, slow down a little bit, put your axe down.
That's right.
And check out what Andrew has to say in his column.
Yeah, well, one of the virtues, patience.
It is.
We are increasingly an impatient society.
It's true.
I didn't even know that article was there. I'm gonna check that one out. That's interesting.
It's worth the read.
All right.
Take your time with it.
Clearly, I see what you did there. Okay, so 7:23 right now. All right, this is not political stuff. This is not. I have a baseball practice yesterday, and I'm practicing in Afton. So we meet all the guys down there. We do our practice. A couple of my buddies, Cody and Pedro, and I were like, "Hey, let's go grab some food afterwards." We just run across the way there, go to a sports bar, get our chicken and whatnot. And so we hang out for a little bit. I head back home, and I'm putting my baseball stuff up. I've got I've got a spare bedroom, and I basically made it into my workout room. So I'm just putting my baseball stuff up there, and I hear this kind of sort of sound, and I'm thinking, it sounds like an alarm's going off, and it's coming from this closet that's got the water heater and the HVAC, and there are some things there like carbon monoxide alarms and things like that. I'm thinking, oh crap, is one of those alarms going off? Because that could be like serious.
Yeah.
Did it sound a little bit like this?
Kind of, little more bursty, a little more bursty like that. And so I open the door, turn on the light on my phone, and out flops a bat. An adult brown bat. Okay, that's the sound. Okay, so it flops out and it lands right at my feet, looks at me like, you jerk. Do you know how long I've been in that stupid, HVAC closet? Of course, my answer is no, I don't, actually. I don't even know how you got in there. And so, he kind of regroups. Yes, I'm assuming his pronouns and gender, whatever. And so he starts flying around. And that sound that you just did, that's okay, do that again. Okay, that's really what it sounds like.
Yeah.
That it sounds just like the movie. And he's flying in circles. Well, I'm not letting him out of the room. So I just kind of close the door behind me, and he's just going and going and going, doing laps around the room there. I'd say the wingspan's like 5 to 7 inches, something like that.
Yeah.
So for a brown bat, I actually sent you a picture of it.
Yeah.
I saw the picture.
And so I leave it, let him simmer down a little bit. This is all true. This is happening. I just want to go to bed. I just want to go to bed. And so
Mr. Batty has other ideas.
I've got, and so I give it time, and then I walk back in. He's not flying around. He's hanging on the blinds to the window. That's the picture I sent you. I'm like, okay, well, I need to get a picture because, I'm going to call animal control, and I need to show them what it is. And I take the picture, and then he gets freaked out again, and he starts flying around again. Now, this time I'm in the corner up opposite the door, so I've got like a towel there. And this thing is just flying around and round and round and round and round. And that sound that you just said, that's all I'm hearing as this thing's like going crazy. And so it's clearly physically healthy. This bat is not in bad shape at all.
Mentally, it might be a little disturbed.
That's the thing is like you never know with bats. And so I have caught bats before that have gotten into a dwelling, the last time I had to deal with that was a long time ago, and you can do it. But here's the thing: bats are really good. You don't want to hurt the bat.
No,
bats are a very good sign if you've got them around just on the outside of your house, because they eat thousands of mosquitoes.
Yes.
So you definitely want bats. And so I would go ahead and I'm like, okay, I need to let this thing. I call animal control, and the city's like, they're off duty. They're going off work. We don't have anything for you. So I put kind of a joke statement on social media, and then, oh my gosh.
You got lots of suggestions.
I got lots of suggestions. And one of them was call St. Louis County. And so I called there, and they actually sent me the number, the non-emergency number. And so I call it, and they go, yeah, we do have a county animal control. So they put me in touch, and I'm on the phone with the officer, and they say, okay, so we're going to put this in, and somebody's going to call you back in a little bit. And that's exactly what happened. The lady calls back, who's one of the animal control officers, just nice and cool as can be. And I'm talking to her and describing, and she goes, yeah, that sounds, we deal with those before. And so I go into the room when I'm on the phone with her to give her the first-hand account of it. Now I can't find the thing.
Uh-oh.
I don't know which is worse, looking at a bat flying around your room and listening to this. There
it is.
Right. Or going into the room knowing that the critter is there and not being able to find it.
Yeah.
Now, I closed the door behind me, so I know it's got... And so I tell her, I said, this is going to sound really weird. I swear there's one in here, but I can't find it. And her first question was, do you have an air vent in that room? I said, well, yeah. She goes, that's where it went.
Yeah.
She goes, that we see it all the time. And I'm thinking, man, that's really a small thing. And she goes, they need almost nothing to squeeze through there. Matter of fact, one of my baseball teammates saw my post and he's texted me because he used to do pest control. And he told me just a little bit ago, he texted me and he said they need about half an inch. Well, your air vent's a lot more than half an inch.
Yeah.
So there's no question that's likely where it's gone. So I just closed the door. The thing is still in there.
Hanging out.
It's just it's in my HVAC somewhere.
It's plotting.
It's, yeah. And the thing is, I'm of course I'm being the idiot that I am. I'm like, hey, dude, it's okay. Calm down. I don't want to hurt you. I'm trying to reason with a bat.
Sure.
Because it's
As one does.
10 o'clock and I'm usually asleep by now. And I'm here. I'm just thinking.
I would have been doing the kitty voice to it. I would have been like, it's okay.
Yeah,
it's okay.
just hey, calm
It's
down,
all right.
dude. And I'm thinking, listen, what I have here is an undocumented, flying mammalian immigrant in my place, and I want to deport you.
Call DHS.
Mark
Wayne.
That's
Mark
right.
Wayne.
I'm calling animal control, which is the bat version of ICE.
It's true.
To get rid of this thing. And so they said, listen, when it comes out of hiding, call us back so that we can, know that we're going to get it because we can't get up in your HVAC, which I totally get. So they were very responsive, but we still don't have the bat in custody.
Bat's on the loose.
No, so we have. I don't know if they're going to send the bat to, Venezuela or to where Libya. I don't know where they're going to send the bat. It just can't stay. It just can't stay at my place.
It's just going to go to a cave, right?
Chickens of the cave.
Chickens of the cave.
Now, the next time you see the bat, though, maybe you could ask it something for me real quick.
Yes.
I would like to know if it is familiar with some of the great tunes from the 80s. We have Flashback Friday coming. I mean, don't bring the bat in here, obviously, but we do have something called Flashback Friday might be interested in and might want to make it a request for 80s themed bump music. So, you should ask the bat to send me, Jerome, at NewsTalkSTL.com an email and also let me know what time it might be tuning in.
Forget to pick up what you sow, talking trash to the garbage around you.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Is this chicken?
It's really impossible to turn a profit if you serve real chicken. We use mainly bats.
That's the most horrible thing I've ever heard.
Do you know what they call bats? Chicken of the cave.
On News Talk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Meteorologist Shan Scotch with your first alert forecast. Things have really settled back down. A chilly start to the morning with temperatures back towards the mid to lower 30s. This afternoon, highs towards the mid 50s, mostly sunny skies. Winds really start to ramp up Thursday night into Friday. Could be seeing wind gusts up to 30 miles per hour. That'll start to taper off into the early morning hours Friday. A high of 61 degrees for Friday, then into Saturday, 63, partly sunny. By Sunday, could see some chances of some rain and even some thunderstorms. That could switch over to some light snow late Sunday night into Monday morning. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Shane Scotch.
John Beal knows it right after a hailstorm. New roofing companies start popping up everywhere. But the Small Business Administration reports 96% of them go out of business within the first 5 years. So how good is that warranty? John Beal started in the roofing business helping his granddad and his dad. Always offering the best roof, best price, best guarantee. John Beal Roofing, not some fly-by-the-night operation. Call my friend John, 1-800-NEW-ROOF, 1-800-NEW-ROOF.
Larry Connor's commentary, brought to you by Vincent's Jewelers, offering a wide selection of jewelry, including lab-grown diamonds, affordable earrings, bracelets, necklaces, and rings, up to 75% off their natural counterparts. Visit VincentsJewelers.com. This is Larry Connor's commentary on News Talk STL.
The question has been asked, is President Trump thinking of restarting the military draft to deal with Iran? In other words, considering U.S. boots on the ground invading Iran. The official White House response, all options are on the table. Well, that's enough breadcrumbs under the table for the legacy puppies to start barking, yes, Trump is this close to reinstating the draft. It's not a fact, just their barking. We've had conscription, the draft going back to the American Revolutionary War. When JFK sent U.S. troops to Vietnam as advisors, that opened the door for the Vietnam draft. In Israel, men and women at age 18 are automatically drafted. That's because Israel is surrounded by nations which hate Jews. They worry about being invaded. Many in the world hate the U.S., but geography serves as our protection, making us less likely to be invaded by outsiders. But what if the invasion started inside our nation? Are we prepared to defend the homeland? Do we need the draft if not for invasion, but for protection? The debate is boiling. The only sure answer is many of those drafted or volunteered end in flag-draped coffins.
Get more Larry Connors on Larry Connors USA.
Tonight at 6 on News Talk STL.
To have a roof over your head, a nice roof over your head, is very important.
That's Rick talking about his experience with Rhino Shield ceramic coating.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago, and they're very cooperative on getting us the right paint. They're in and out and done in no time. Once it was finished, looked great. We were very happy with it.
The main reason Rick called Rhino Shield is because it's backed by a 25-year transferable warranty.
We've watched a lot of people get their house painted 3 or 4 times, and we haven't had to do any of it. I don't know about you guys, but I don't want to have to paint it every 5-7 years.
Take a tip from Rick and put down the paintbrush and call Rhino Shield for your free evaluation. 877-25-RHINO. 877-25-RHINO. Or visit 877-25rhino.com.
We got Rhino Shield 18 years ago. Financially makes sense, especially if it's going to last like this did. Still looks great.
Call now. 877-25-RHINO or 877-25rhino.com.
Don't paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
1 in 4 women will have an abortion before the age of 45 in this country. That's the tragedy we must work to stop. Mike Ferguson from The Morning Show here, and that is why Reach Reproductive Health is here, to empower parents to save the lives of innocent children and to see these families come to Christ. And you can be a part of saving and changing lives. So pray and visit outreachforlife.org to learn more, volunteer, and donate. That's outreachforlife.org.
If you have a phone, you have a radio.
Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
Love the all-new NewsTalk STL app.
On my way to work in the morning.
Usually I'm in the car.
I listen on the app in my car every morning going to work.
Download the News Talk STL app and listen anytime, anywhere.
Let's get back to all this madcap mayhem with Mike Ferguson in the morning. But don't forget, stick around for Jones and Arps every Monday through Friday, 4 to 6 p.m.
We got quite the bat discussion going on Rumble. Maybe Facebook too. I happen to be looking at the Rumble chat right now. Somebody said, well, maybe it was Grandpa Munster.
Could be.
And if it's Grandpa Munster, he's willing to hang out.
We can't rule that out.
No, not at all. And somebody else said, what about Batgirl? Which Batgirl?
Well, yes.
There were some
makes a difference.
Some phenomenal Batgirls over the years. I'm just saying, going all the way back to the beginning. That's and then my friend Steve commented on social media last night. He goes, "Well, wear a turtleneck and bring garlic and all that." I'm like, "Oh, well, that's the cool kind of bat."
Yeah.
I don't think this one was that.
A bat with a backstory.
That's right, exactly.
And to my credit, I did.
I
offered to show up and help take care of the problem.
You are welcome to stop by and,
But then I realized Operation Bat Fury would be a bad idea for your dwellings, and I would probably make it worse.
And the thing is with the bats is I don't want to hurt it. And their wings are like really fragile, so you got to be really careful. So I don't want to hurt the thing. And I do if it's like laying down or hanging on something, I know how to like wrap a towel around it or something, or put it into and just let it fly out when take it outside. But yeah, I don't want to. You'd never want to try to catch them out of the air unless you got like a fishing net. And even then, I'd rather not do that just because I don't want to hurt it.
Now, Scooter says, believe it or not, bat guano was actually considered one of the best fertilizers. It has been done.
I believe that. Yeah.
Maybe this is your opportunity to get in the fertilizer
Yeah.
business.
See, I'm not growing anything in my spare room, so he's just more useful somewhere else. So just saying here. All right. Outside of the human cost of war, we've got 7 servicemen and women who have been killed already in the Iran war, or who have died in the Iran war. I think 1 died of a medical event while in Iran. 6 have been killed by the enemy. There is a financial cost to the government, to all of us as well. So I want to put it that way because the most important cost is the human cost in any sort of war. But word on the street is that the White House is going to ask for, I've heard $50 billion to continue to execute the war in Iran. We've already spent over $11 billion over the past however many days it's been,
Mhm.
10, 12 days. So about $1 billion a day, give or take. And I've also read that $50 billion figure that's being reported by multiple outlets is pretty low as well. We won't know until that's made. Congressman Bob Onder this week said that they do expect to get a request for supplemental appropriations to continue to fund the war in Iran. Our government's already trillions of dollars in debt.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be really, really hard to talk about further tax cuts or, refund checks from Doge or all of that kind of stuff when we're talking about 60, 70, 80 billion dollars for a war in Iran. So that's part of the other part of the cost that is going to affect us. As support or oppose the war, those are the realities that we need to keep in mind when we talk about this.
Yeah, I mean, you can't be naive.
Mm-hmm.
You have to recognize that there is a cost. And again, there's the human cost, but there's also the financial cost. And it's got to be justified if you're going to be asking for that kind of money. So, I mean, I do think that that's why, so often when you're talking about these sort of military excursions, if you will, they can only be short-lived without congressional approval.
Correct.
Because eventually, one way or another, you've got to get the legislature involved as well, both from a support standpoint and from a funding standpoint.
Yeah, from a constitutional standpoint at some point, and then obviously the power of the purse.
Exactly.
And that's where the president's not going to have a choice but to go to Congress to keep this funded and keep it going. I mean, you've got a very, very tight margin. There will be probably a few Democrats who are going to vote to not strand the military operations, but I would not expect this to be an overwhelming vote if and when it comes to that.
No. I think they're just too split right now.
I caution to ask the question, but like you said, we can't be naive. The longer this goes, what's the likelihood the less popular it becomes? And the
reason it increases.
Yeah, see, that's the thing. And the longer this goes, the closer we get to the midterm elections.
Mm-hmm.
It is in the Republicans' best interest for this to be a decisive victory, get out,
mm-hmm.
and not have any lingering repercussions or retaliation from Iran. So win to the point where they are crippled at least through the end of the year, and get out. The longer this goes, I think you're right. The longer this goes, the less popular this is going to be. And there's a lot of people across the board, including on the right, that are kind of apprehensive about this in the first place.
Yeah, it's one of those things that we can't know when it's going to be over until it's over for good reason. We've got signals from the administration that while they're not going to give it a concrete time frame, they're also, Trump himself is implying like we're I mean, this is something that they are seeing in their, right in the near future. It does not seem like this is something that he's wanting to have drag out.
No, I don't think so.
And the military seems to be achieving most of its objectives. Mm-hmm. So I guess I'm going to say I'm kind of in the cautiously optimistic camp that it isn't going to be one of those situations.
Well, it looks like Iran is actually shaping up to be the equivalent of Ukraine is to us for Russia and China. There is a legitimate benefit to those nations to have Iran continue to be operational with their military to keep striking stuff. The Associated Press right now is citing the Center for Research on Energy and Clean Air, and that group is recording that Russia has made nearly $7 billion in oil and fuel costs because that strait is being, the traffic through the strait is affecting the entire area's, energy supply. And Europe is also facing issues. Japan's facing issues with oil. So now they're looking, I guess, at Russia, and that's not going to be good if this keeps prolonging for them to be making that kind of money off this war.
Well, and we talked earlier this week that there's a belief that Russia and China are basically partnering and trying to help Iran with intelligence and other things.
Well, they're allies with Iran.
Yeah, they're allies, like, and the World War II reference to the Axis.
Sure.
Axis powers was referenced, whether that's a direct comparison. There's probably some similarities there on it. But, Iran, remember, we think of victory differently than they think of victory.
Well, sure.
So we have to remember that, because to an American, it's like all your stuff's blown up. You don't have any way to fight back. You can't shoot down our planes. It's over. Just give up. That's not how they think, because this is not a military or economic thing. This is a religious thing.
Yeah.
And we have to remember that. Also, to follow up something you said yesterday, Jerome, you mentioned initial reports saying that missile attack on a school. There were some initial reports that was through outdated, faulty intel. That appears to be confirmed at this point. So we did no. You're saying no because I'm reading on like
where are you reading it?
Newsmax and Fox.
Okay, and what are they citing?
Okay, they are. Let me go. I've got the story up here. So
I thought the White House or Pentagon spokesperson also confirmed that we had.
Yeah.
The Pentagon spokesperson did, or sources familiar with the matter.
Yeah, so they're citing multiple other reports.
They're all citing the New York Times.
They are citing New York
Times,
Times,
which is citing sources familiar.
Okay.
So until someone on the record says that, I'm saying that could be true, that could be accurate, but I'm not just going with it.
Because just let me be right, Susie. Just
let
me be right.
And I will 100%. I will nod when you are. I mean, I don't want it to be right because I don't want us to be the bad guys, and I don't want that to have been what happened. It's horrible. But I'm just saying.
Because what's being reported, 170 some deaths, most of them school children.
Again, that's based on Iranian sources.
Right, and that was what they are saying
on a Saturday.
Well, yeah, and I don't know if their work week or school week is the same
as
ours or not. But
I don't know.
And that the building used to be part of an Iranian Guard military operation,
right?
And that the current one apparently is right next to it.
Yes.
So it used to be that, and that's what was referenced to some of those reports. So
and that could very well all be accurate. I'm not saying it's not. I'm just saying. Watch who the sources are and wait until somebody officially is on the record with it as opposed to sources familiar with the matter.
Will our government admit if we messed up so bad that we blew up a school with a bunch of kids in it?
Well, I think that the president has already intimated that. Now, I can't guarantee that, but they should.
That's something that would affect public opinion in a big way.
Sure, they should. I mean, if it was us, they need to acknowledge that. And I think I could be wrong about this. I'd have to go back and look, but I thought either Hegseth or Kane also said as much. But it's hard to know, obviously, until you've got an official word on it. And I'm just Strife, our friend Strife, Bill Cruz has a good article up on it that points out why there might be still some reason to have some question about it. And I'm just going to reserve judgment until I've got something officially confirming.
And obviously, the New York Times isn't one of our best friends.
No.
On the right. But it is something that there's a lot of smoke around the story. Let's put it
there sure is. And absolutely there people have reason to question. Absolutely.
Yeah. And we should. And that could affect a lot of public opinion on this, So just something to keep an eye on.
It is. Yep. That is. Something else to keep an eye on. Next week is the St. Charles County Lincoln Trump Dinner. I'm going to join the St. Charles County Republican Central Committee for a great night of speeches, food, and fun, all to support the Republican Party in St. Charles County. Friday, March 20th at Old Hickory Golf Club in St. Peters. The VIP reception starts at 5:30 and the dinner and program start at 6:30. Plus, you can enter the Second Amendment raffle that is being sponsored by our friends at Corral Roofing when you log on to register for the event. So just go to stcharlesgop.com for more info and to get registered, and we will see you there.
And by the way, tomorrow's the deadline to get your tickets. Yep.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Someone in that control room is out of control.
On Newstalk STL.
You've heard the phrase, you can do it cheap or you can do it right. But how about this? How about you can do it efficiently and get it right the first time? Let me tell you what I mean here. When you talk to my friends at STL Fence Works, Mike Ferguson here for STL Fence Works, you're going to find out that they don't use the timber that you go to the home improvement store to build your deck. So if you say, I need a deck or I need a fence, so I'm going to call my buddy who's got a cousin who does this on the side, and he can do it a lot cheaper than a contractor would. Well, maybe up front that's the case because he's going to go get, the stuff from Home Depot or Lowe's or whatever, and I'm sure that wood's fine for some things. And then they can build it, and it'll be a lot cheaper. Well, sure, maybe up front, but here's the thing, is that you're going to have to stain, you're going to have to treat, you're going to have to sand, you're going to have to do all those things, and right then and there, you're going to make it a lot more expensive, and then you're going to have to keep doing it and eventually replace planks, and you're going to have to replace some of the siding. Well, how about this? STL Fence Works uses guaranteed materials, and they use American-made materials here as well. This is a company that's been around the St. Louis metro area for over 50 years. They are a family-owned business that works right here with their friends and neighbors, so their reputation's on the line, which is why they do it honestly, they do it ethically, and they do it right the first time. A-plus rating with the BBB. So people who do business with them like doing business with them, and you can only get that when they do it on budget and they do it right. So go to stlfenceworks.com right now, and here's one of the cool things you can do, especially if you're looking for a fence. You can go to their online tool. You can get a virtual bid. They'll zoom in on your property. You can say, here's what I want. They'll give you a ballpark figure. You do not have to call and have somebody come out. And if you're afraid of getting pressured into a sale, first of all, they don't do that in the first place. They're just an honest business right here in St. Louis. But you can get the online ballpark. You like what you see. You say, oh, that is in my budget. And it is going to improve my house. Now I'm going to get that return on investment. And I'm going to keep the dog in the backyard. Or maybe keep the neighbor's dog out of your backyard, whatever it is. You can do that. Give them a call. Send them an email. And then they'll come out and confirm everything. And you can make your own decision. They're not going to do the high pressure thing. So stlfenceworks.com, give it a trial run, man. It's fun, and talk to them. I really like these folks. They are worried about your safety, your security. That's non-negotiable. stlfenceworks.com, and you are going to get not only a good, efficient deal, but you're going to get solid workmanship, and you're going to get those American-made products as well. stlfenceworks.com.
License number GL250000615.
Hey, it's good to see you.
Two sounds that can wreck your sleep: a drip and a toilet that won't stop running.
Drip, drip, all night.
Good news, we're doing plumbing now. Same folks, same care, same we do it right.
Leaky faucet, running toilet.
Or a stubborn clog, call Grasser.
Electric and plumbing, the Grasser way.
Green is always Grasser at GrasserHomeservices.com.
Hey there, Chris Cooper here, Serenity Wealth Management, your financial friend here at NewsTalkSTL, and we are excited for our upcoming episode of the Serenity Wealth Now Show. We're going to spend a little time talking about travel tips. It is spring break. It's time to think about getting out there and enjoying the things that make you happy. We've got Katie Modulin joining us in studio to talk about travel this season. Tune in each and every week, Sunday morning, 9 a.m., NewsTalkSTL or Serenity Wealth Now social media outlets.
Investment advice offered through Fortis Capital Advisors, LLC. When your commercial or industrial facility needs repairs, who do you trust? Commercial Facilities Maintenance gets the job done right, every time. From plumbing and electrical to asphalt, concrete, and fencing, we handle it all. Occupied job sites? No problem. Multi-phase projects? We've got you covered. We offer seamless communication, quality handiwork, and a cost-free estimate within 1 to 2 business days. Building trust with quality work. Visit CommercialFacilitiesMaintenance.com. That's CommercialFacilitiesMaintenance.com.
Hey folks, Jamie Allman here, waiting for you for the 3 Martini Lunch, the Common Sense Radio, the Allman Report on News Talk STL. Now back to Mike Ferguson in the morning.
All right, a good tool will make any job easier. You're seeing the thing on TV.
Looking at that little Heelan Coos.
There's
baby Heelan Coos with little St. Patrick's Day.
Yeah,
things.
with the, by the way, that is what they call them in Scotland, coos.
Heelan Coos. That's what I'm calling them.
That's right. That's
Heelan.
what they're called. Yeah, and I saw the big ones when I was over there 8-9 years ago, whatever it was. St. Patrick's Day Parade, is that today? That's not today. That's this weekend.
Probably this weekend.
Yeah, this weekend.
Sorry.
So you're going to see some Highland coos.
Heelan Coos.
Heelan coos right there, yeah. By the way, those are babies. I've seen some big ones.
No, they're so cute.
Really big ones.
Sorry.
No,
I
no,
got
don't
distracted.
apologize. Okay, so a good tool is going to make just about any job easier. You know how to use the tool, right? So, and AI is no different.
Right.
Now, here's the thing: is AI making us? We've joked a lot about AI making us dumber, but is it making us worse at human connection? Are we relying on it like a crutch too much?
Probably.
Yeah. Are we going to have our soft skills atrophy because we're hiding behind AI?
That's already an issue with just the digital age.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh,
and
100%.
AI seems to be, for Gen Z, seems to be taking it up a notch. We'll talk about that in just a second here. All right, 8:05 here coming up. It's a conversation that I think that we've got a smart enough audience that we should not be afraid of dissenting opinions, right? We've interviewed a lot of folks who are very on board with the war in Iran and the president's decision to go. We've got a conservative dissent on that coming at 8:05. Now, if you're on board with the war in Iran, this is not, nobody's going to like call you anything or fault you or anything like that. But I think we can have a robust discussion about that. And I think that's an important position to have on the program and in the discussion, not just the talking points that come out of the government, even if it's a government we like.
Yeah, he was on the Dr. Randy Tobler with us.
Yeah.
Dr. Tobler is very patriotic, very pro-military. This is not a trying to change your mind or convince you one way or another.
Right.
This is just a lineage of these types of things and how they turn out historically.
Right. So we're gonna have that conversation with Charles Goyette, author of a book called Empire of Lies. And so Jerome's got that book right there. So that conversation is coming 8:05. You may agree, you may disagree, but I think you're going to find it interesting and challenging.
And it's okay to be challenged.
It's okay to be challenged, especially when you get somebody who's on the right. He's more of a libertarian, conservative, so that's going to be fascinating here. Okay, CNN had this story that was kind of interesting, and they're calling it offloading tough conversations. So apparently Gen Zers are going right to their chat, their AI app, to compose text messages, like conversations. Just have AI do it. Mm-hmm. Now that could be anything in like a conflict or breaking up with somebody or deciding you're going to fire somebody or not do, whatever the case is. The younger somebody is, and in Gen Z, they're using artificial intelligence to write the difficult text messages. Mm-hmm. And so the story that they started this on is a college student admitted that he used ChatGPT, basically the ChatGPT app on his phone, to write a text after a date. Message was 6 paragraphs long, very carefully worded, but the date and her friends ran it through an AI detector, and it was 99% AI. So the guy didn't have the words. I'm not even going to say didn't have the guts or anything, because he did send her something.
Yeah.
But he didn't have the words to say, hey, I don't think we're a good fit. Thanks for the date. I'm going to move on. Good luck to you, whatever the case is. And so this is being called social offloading. And here's the question. You mentioned the digital age is making us kind of less
We've lost
connected.
Some of our interpersonal skills.
I used to teach soft skills in the business setting when I was a recruiter and a trainer, that was contracted with a Fortune 500 company. My degree is in communications. My entire career is the soft skills. And what people don't understand, hard skills are like specific things, a particular computer program or a physical labor. Soft skills are those communication and presentation and things like that, persuasion and things like that. And it just seems that we may be discounting and saying, well, those soft skills that we used to always want to teach kids, how to interview, how to talk to customers, how to talk to people who are upset, things like that, that we're now saying, don't worry about it, just have the computer do it. And then we're going to have even bigger isolation between people.
Yeah. I mean, we're going to turn ourselves into robots, basically. I mean, that's the end point of that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the thing of it is, like any tool, it's great if you're using it, in a productive way, but you can use it in a negative way too. And unfortunately, if you're outsourcing, offloading, but outsourcing too much of the personal part of it, then you're losing out on that.
Right. Yeah, and it's not even just the computer may come up with words that aren't the right ones or don't fit. It's a matter of exercising those skills so they get stronger.
Yes.
We're going to atrophy, and that's not even just about you need to be a better communicator. This is a social cohesion question. Mm-hmm. And AI has all sorts of opportunities for us to accomplish fantastic things, particularly in medicine, possibly in engineering. You name the science, it's there. But at the same time, if you misuse a tool, you can really
Or if
hurt.
you over-rely on it.
Yes.
Because it still gets a lot of stuff wrong. It sounds very confident doing so.
Yeah.
So, yeah, you have to be very careful with it.
Yeah. So I just thought that was, I don't know why I was drawn to that story on CNN.
Well, and you can kind of tell sometimes when things are AI drafted, and it shouldn't be your breakup note. Sorry.
No, not that. Oh, nor should it be your final exam in high school or college. Don't do that. That would be very bad. Don't do that. Don't let AI make you dumber and less talented at communicating. Just saying.
Hey, Jamie Allman here for my favorite go-to store for seafood, gourmet goodness, and tons of wine. It's Stars, 1135 South Big Bend. A huge selection of seafood flown in from the coast. Lemon sole, halibut, Maryland lump crab, Gulf shrimp, and you gotta try the trout dip. Plus, imported and domestic hand-cut cheeses, lots of hand-picked wines at great prices, hard-to-find gourmet foods, and fresh roasted coffee using only the best quality beans. Stars, 1135 South Big Bend, just off of Highway 40.
Looking for an underwater adventure or a scaly new friend? Dive into Tropical World Pets on Watson Road. For 32 years, this family-owned wonderland has been St. Louis's go-to destination for all things aquatic and reptilian. With over 7,000 square feet of aquariums, we're home to the area's largest selection of freshwater fish, including rare cichlids you won't find anywhere else. But that's not all. We've got tarantulas, snakes, and lizards galore. Tropical World Pets, 314-849-4020, or visit twpstl.com.
Why are you going to work? It's Sunday.
It's a brand new show on News Talk STL. JC's Sunday Showgram.
The Academy Awards are Sunday night, so it'll all be about the movies, with everyone from Tom Hanks and Steven Spielberg to Siskel and Ebert, Kenny Loggins, and Harold Ramis.
Carl's out there practicing his golf swing, cutting the tops off flowers with a grass whip.
All brought to you by the Weber Automotive Group.
Sunday morning, 7 to 9. Then podcast each Monday on NewsTalkSTL.com.
Hey, Tony Colombo here, inviting you out for a great night of fun and rock and roll with the Queen Tribute Somebody to Love, Friday, March 20th at the Mill in Granite City. My band, Tony Colombo and the North County Sound Machine, featuring Katie Fitzpatrick, opens the show, followed by the ultimate Queen experience from Somebody to Love. That's Friday, March 20th at the Mill, Granite City's premier concert and event venue, brought to you by Weber Chevrolet. Support local music and join us for a great party. Tickets and info now at themill.events.
KLGY HD3 Clayton, K270BW Bellefonte, KNBS Bowling Green. This is News Talk STL at 1019, 94.1, and always streaming at NewsTalkSTL.com.
News this hour from Town Hall. I'm Greg Clugston in Washington. Countries around the world are releasing oil reserves to help tamp down high prices and limited supply as the war with Iran hits global markets with volatility.
Germany and Austria say they are releasing parts of their oil reserves following an International Energy Agency request for its members to release 400 million barrels to help temper energy price spikes due to the Iran war. Previously, the largest ever collective release of emergency stocks by IEA member countries was just under 183 million barrels. That was in the wake of the energy shock prompted by Russia's full-scale invasion of Ukraine in 2022. Japan also says it will release some of its reserves starting Monday. I'm Lisa Dwyer.
The Pentagon has provided Congress with a price tag for the first week of the Iran war, $11.3 billion. The Trump administration is expected to seek additional military funding from lawmakers in the coming weeks. Late winter tornadoes struck parts of Illinois and Indiana, killing an elderly married couple in their late 80s. Cassidy Sinwelski's neighborhood in northwest Indiana also hit by a tornado. She's grateful that God spared her life.
And then we went into the bathroom, got a piece of plywood, and within minutes I closed my eyes, the lights flickered, and there was nothing. But during that time, we just kept praying in the tub, and we were holding each other, and I was like, well, this is the way we're going to go. I'm either going to be with the Lord tonight, or I'm going to be able to witness to people tomorrow.
The Trump administration is opening a new trade investigation into manufacturing in foreign countries. It's an effort that comes after the Supreme Court struck down the president's previous use of tariffs. The administration wants to replace the lost revenue by using different laws for new tariffs. More at townhall.com.
As America's #1 motorcycle insurer, Progressive has your back.
Oh, like if I need a replacement part?
Sure, we can help with that.
Ah, nice. Hey, I just entered this online contest for coolest bike in the world. You think maybe you can vote for me?
Actually, we just do insurance, not popularity contests.
Yeah, I know. But what's your email? I'll just send you the link real quick. You can vote like 100 times a day. They'll never know.
To be clear, Progressive has your back for insurance only. So get a quote and see if you can save.
So what I'm hearing is there's a little bit of wiggle room.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and affiliates. Covered subject to policy terms, limits, and conditions.
You spent 30, maybe 40 years building your retirement. Are you about to watch it take a hit you can't recover from? Military escalation in Iran. The U.S. dollar under pressure it hasn't seen in years. Advantage Gold is offering a free gold investment kit and a free copy of economist Ken Rogoff's powerful new book, Our Dollar, Your Problem. Call Advantage Gold now at 800-900-8000. Don't wait for the next surge to wish you had moved sooner. Results vary. Consult your financial advisor before investing. Call Advantage Gold at 800-900-8000.
From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Meteorologist Chance Scotch with your first alert forecast. Things have really settled back down. A chilly start to the morning with temperatures back towards the mid to lower 30s. This afternoon, highs towards mid 50s, mostly sunny skies. Winds really start to ramp up Thursday night into Friday. Could be seeing wind gusts up to 30 miles per hour. That'll start to taper off into the early morning hours Friday. A high of 61 degrees for Friday, then into Saturday, 63, partly sunny. By Sunday, could see some chances of some rain and even some thunderstorms. That could switch over to some light snow late Sunday night into Monday morning. From the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist Chance Scotch.
This hour of News Talk STL is brought to you by Stifel, serving investors for over 130 years. Contact your Stifel financial advisor at stifel.com. That's STIFEL.com.
Concerned about the condition of your windows driving up your energy bills? I was too. It's only called STL Windows and Doors. Their Provia windows combine old world craftsmanship the professional way, the Provia way, with over 65 years of combined experience, locally owned, offering competitive pricing and personalized service that the big box companies can't match. Call today for your free in-home estimate and start saving tomorrow. 314-277-5952 or stlwindowsanddoors.com.
Have you noticed mattress stores are dramatic? Final clearance, last chance, going out of business every single weekend. Relax. Snooze Mattress and Wellness is locally owned, family owned, and we don't do fake urgency. We use advanced sleep technology trusted by NASA and the Mayo Clinic to fit you to the right mattress, based on your body, not a sales quote. No gimmicks, no games, just better sleep. Snooze Mattress and Wellness. Finally, a mattress store you'll love.
Mike Ferguson.
Well, I'm sick and tired of smart guys.
Susie Moore.
Get out of here and stop playing victim.
Get up, St. Louis.
We have federal regulations that prohibit hunting duck, and yet it's legal to hunt humans.
Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
All right, we've done several interviews over the past week and a half with leaders and with activists who support the war in Iran, or support that military offensive in Iran. And I think conservatives I've been accused of being more of a conservatarian. I think we're capable of hearing the other side of the debate, especially if it's coming from closer to our side and not some fringe left code pink type.
Yeah, this is
right?
not going to be a CNN harumph.
Yeah. So the book is called Empire of Lies. It's written by Charles Goyette, and he joins us right now. And Charles, I wanted to set things up like that. Appreciate you being on the program here. In that, I'm uneasy about this. I'm reserving judgment. There are a lot of very compelling arguments being made by the administration and by obviously the pundits out there. So let's kind of pick some of these apart, because I think people can land on either side in really, really good faith. Even if I disagree with whatever side I agree with. For instance, let me start with the underlying claim that's being made. I don't think anybody's going to argue that the world is worse off because the Ayatollah, is no longer in charge out there, at least that guy. And the argument being the head of the snake was cut off. It was really expensive and hard to do it, but eventually the world is safer and that's better for everybody. Start with that basic premise that was used to go into Iran. What's your assessment of the reasoning, at least the main reasoning we were given?
Well, there was a time that conservatives, and by the way, thank you, Mike, very much. It's an honor to be on your program. There was a time that conservatives had an instinct to question unforeseen consequences. In other words, second order, third order effects, and so on. Saddam Hussein was toppled pretty readily in the Iraq War. In fact, everybody ought to remember that 6 weeks after that war started, President Bush landed on the deck of an aircraft carrier and proclaimed mission accomplished. Banners to that effect, a big TV event, and so on. That war went on for another 8 years. And we see this all the time. This so-and-so is Hitler. If we can only replace Hitler, then we will have won a awesome victory. And then they replace that Hitler, and another Hitler pops up in his place, and this goes on over and over again. But we seem to be, Mike, incapable of understanding that these things go a lot deeper than the visible effects. That if you take this guy out, everything's going to be hunky dory or at least better, and that certainly hasn't been the case. We toppled one guy after another. In fact, let me give you a couple of just really quick thumbnail examples. We toppled Muammar Gaddafi in Libya. It unleashed a flood of illegal immigration to Europe. We toppled Bashar Assad in Syria not so long ago. And who did we, and by we I mean the United States primarily, install in his place? A guy by the name of al-Shara, who 18 months ago had a $10 million bounty on his head. The State Department, the U.S. taxpayers, thought this guy was bad enough, and he was, terrorist enough, and he was, that he deserved a $10 million bounty on his head. That lasted until about 18 months ago. And now we have installed him as the president of Syria. We gave him, as a friend of mine says, we gave him somebody gave him a $90,000 Swiss watch, trimmed his beard, put him in an Armani suit, and now he's this great enlightened leader. But the carnage goes on in Syria, and the people that sent their fathers and mothers and sisters and brothers and sons and daughters against ISIS and bin Ladenites throughout the Middle East over all those years had no idea that we were going to elevate one of their kind to rule Syria. So all of these things seem to have very little foresight of the possibilities, Mike, in my view.
Let me try to paraphrase, some of the other arguments being made, and this would be kind of a connected argument to the, well, he was a bad guy, he exports terrorism. Senator Ted Cruz was talking about 90% of the funding for all these proxy groups come from Iran, which is probably pretty documentable, which is, like I said, a compelling argument. The other one being nuclear weapons. They were days, weeks, months, whatever it was. We can't let them get there, and that's very compelling. You don't want a terrorist exporting and terrorist funding nation to have nuclear weapons that could reach our allies in Europe, particularly NATO. So how much of this can be argued that it is preemptively defensive? And I know that sounds like an oxymoron, but that's basically one of the arguments being made.
Yeah, it's always a defensive war. It's usually a defensive war in search of a pretext. It was WMDs in Iraq. In this case, it's the same thing really. We can't wait to see the signs of the smoking gun in the form of a mushroom cloud. I don't know. They gave up their enriched uranium in the first deal. The head of the IAEA said as recently as this month that there was no structured program to manufacture nuclear weapons. They were not within days or weeks of building a bomb. The Congress has been briefed just a week ago that there was no intelligence. Pentagon officials, there was no intelligence indicating Iran was planning a preemptive or a first strike against U.S. forces. We've really opened the floodgates. And while President Bush announced the end of combat operations and a mission accomplished, yesterday President Trump basically announced that we had won this war. You know what I'd like to remind your listeners of, if anybody's interested, they should go look at a Pentagon wargaming exercise, the largest one in history up to that time. It was actually set in the Persian Gulf, the red team versus the blue team, and it was a case of asymmetric warfare. And the blue team had I don't remember which color was which, but the one team had all the electronic surveillance, the big jets, the high-tech equipment, the radars, and so on, and yet using simple techniques, Marine General Paul Van Ripper beat the heck out of them. With instead of using telephones that could be surveilled to understand what they were doing, they used couriers on motorcycles and bicycles to deliver messages. They used all of this so-called primitive stuff. They encoded messages to their fighters in the daily call for prayers. So they beat the tar out of the sophisticated team in the Millennium Challenge exercise. So much so that the Pentagon stopped the war game, and they were embarrassed by their losses. And then they changed the rules of the game, and they started it again, and they got beaten again. And people can read about that in Malcolm Gladwell's book, Blink. It was a huge embarrassment, and General Ripper resigned in the middle of the game because they kept changing the conditions, and they wouldn't let him declare victory. So this thing is nobody can say, but this thing is not necessarily even close to having been won.
All right, the book is called Empire of Lies. It's written by our guest, Charles Goyette. Okay, so that brings me to the next question then. It seems that we're at some decision point here. Obviously the president's saying, hey, it's basically won. We're just going to keep going until we know they can't fight back, which is what he said yesterday just off of Air Force One. And then there's also the question of, okay, at some point constitutionally he has to go, and legally he has to go to Congress, who has to make a decision to fund this for $50 or $60 billion or pull the funding from this. Is there an argument to be made that even if this was a mistake going in, even if there are going to be unintended consequences, that once you're halfway in, you've got to at least finish the job? What would be the wise and the safest and the most constitutional course of action from here into whatever's next?
Well, I remember a Republican presidential candidate debate during the Iraq War when Ron Paul had the guts to say, we just marched in, we can just march out. I mean, we're looking at things that I don't think anybody really understands. We have watched conversations about the introduction of forces on the ground in Karg Island. Somebody in the administration, I hope they've abandoned this one. Somebody in the administration said, "Well, we can arm the Kurds in northeast Iran, and then they can do our fighting force as they have in the past. We can victimize the Kurds into cannon fodder once again." And I thought, has anybody mentioned that to Erdogan in Turkey? Because that will be the end of the NATO alliance. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe NATO should have ended when the Soviet Union collapsed, since that was created for. But all kinds of stuff is going on. The former president of Israel, Naftali Bennett, says Turkey is next on the list. John Bolton says the next objective, the real objective, has to be Russia. I mean, these things are beginning to spin out of control, and there's a reason that nobody knows where it's going, and that is just something that you have identified. There was no declaration of war. We've engaged in continuous war. You know, the founders included that provision about a declaration of war, that only the people's representatives, the Congress, has the right to declare war, because it is the people who pay for it with their lives and their prosperity. The reason they put that in there, it wasn't like, well, we're going to have divided government, so let's give some authority here and some authority over there. We'll divide everything. They were well learned in the precedents that the executive branch, be it a king or a duke or a prime minister, has propensities to engage in needless wars, and that is why they lodged the war-making authority in the hands of the people. But the debate over declaring war includes all these things that we haven't gotten. What is the objective? What is the rationale? What are the resources we intend to vote to this? How do we know when we've achieved victory? All of those things are debated and discussed and determined, so we know exactly what we're doing. It puts Americans on alert. It puts foreign adversaries or foreign allies on alert that we are formally in a war, and these are our objectives. And we haven't done that we haven't done that since World War II. It is a big mistake.
Okay, Charles, we just got a couple minutes left here, but what would then be in your view, the right role of the U.S. presence around the world? I mean, nothing happens in a vacuum anymore. We're so interconnected. Is there an argument for isolationism, or is there an argument to say we have vital national interests that need to be protected or influenced by a strong U.S. presence around the world? What's the right balance, if there is a balance?
Yes, thank you, Mike. The right balance is the prosperity, the making America great again. Actually, it's the prosperity of the American people. Our might, our awesome global might over the years has flowed from our prosperity. But empires in their end stage, and it's a syndrome that is well known. It's called empire overexpansion or imperial overstretch. In their declining stage, they see their decline in influence and control and hegemony over the world, as a result, not of their failing economic prowess, but as a result of as a challenge that has to be met in military terms. And so they divert even more money from the productive sector of the economy that made them awesome and mighty to begin with, and they devote it to military imperialism and presence all over the world. Let's make America great again. Let's rebuild this country. Let's let the American people prosper, and it will make us mighty and unchallenged again.
Okay, the book, once again, Empire of Lies. We're going to find a way to put that up on the News Talk STL bookstore if people want to find that. But people want to be in touch with you, Charles. They've got questions. Follow your writing on this. What's the way to do it?
Well, they can go to empireoflies.com, empireoflies.com, and I'm on X, Charles Goyette, Goyette.
All right, we've already tagged you on our social media. Charles, I really appreciate the conversation.
Mike, thank you so much for having me on.
All right, this discussion is going to be up on our podcast, and I got a feeling this would be one you should put out there for debate, even if you are somebody who absolutely disagrees with what you just heard and you agree with the president. Still, put that one up there. These are the healthy debates that we should be having, especially when it comes from within our side. Also, just ahead, I've got the news dump coming your way here at about 8:21. Find out why a now former police officer is going from the patrol car into prison.
I see your indifference. Stop it right now before you blow us all away.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Message to Iran.
I'm going to bomb the shit out of them.
On News Talk STL.
You know, I was talking with my friends over at Nutrition Stop what was in there? I guess I was in there on Monday picking up a few things, and I noticed something that they had on their social media that really kind of struck a chord with me. We're talking a lot about make America healthy again, make your family healthy again, get back to real foods, and that is a fantastic direction that I think is taking hold around the country, outside of whatever the politics are. People now thinking about, what am I putting into my body when I'm eating my food? Am I getting real food? Am I getting not artificial stuff? And my friends at Nutrition Stop, Mike Ferguson here for Nutrition Stop, obviously, had something interesting on social media. We often don't think about the things we're putting on our body. I'm talking about the shampoo. I'm talking about the skin cream. I'm talking about the makeup. I'm talking about toothpaste. I'm talking about all those things, because that goes in through your skin. That goes into your endocrine system. That goes into your digestive system. That goes into your nervous system. And a lot of times we'll say, well, I just need to get this topical thing. I need to get some skin cream. I need to get some deodorant or whatever. I can go to the dollar store and get it for $2 or $3 cheaper. Well, you can, but what are you putting into your body that's still being absorbed, just like it would be if you were eating a food that's made out of a bunch of unnatural stuff? It still gets into your system. And one of the ways that I have really started to feel better, and I have felt better, less inflammation, is by using the natural products from Nutrition Stop. I'm talking about, the toothpaste that I use that's antimicrobial, that is all natural, that has no, fluoride in it, that still rebuilds enamel. I mean, it does this great stuff. It costs, I think, like $3 more. But I could spend $2 or $3 more now to get something all natural and healthy, or I can put junk and chemicals and artificial things into my body and then spend tens of thousands of dollars later trying to treat something that I induced on myself. So $2 or $3 maybe over the dollar store, really about the same price if you go to one of the grocery stores, and you can get something that's natural and something that's not going to put toxins into your body. Maybe it tastes minty, but guess what? The natural stuff tastes minty too. So skincare products, what's on your lotion, in your put into your mouth, those things matter too. NutritionStop.com, or just go check them out and ask them to show you around those items as well. It makes a big difference in your health. And tell them Mike was bragging about them on the radio.
Don't let spring surprises ruin your comfort. Johnson Heating and Cooling in Wentzville is offering air conditioner checkups for just $99. We'll check your Freon, inspect your condensate hose, and test all electrical connections. Plus, we'll clean your system for no additional charge if you act before June 30th. Keep your home running smoothly this season. Visit Johnson-heatingandcooling.com. That's Johnson-heatingandcooling.com. Johnson Heating and Cooling. Your comfort, our priority.
Sometimes it seems all lawmakers do is tax and spend.
That's why Missouri voters passed the Hancock Amendment in 1980 to place a limit on what the government can do with your money. But the Hancock Amendment is outdated. It hasn't provided a taxpayer refund since 1999 and probably won't without reform. That's why Missouri needs a taxpayer Bill of Rights. Colorado has one, and taxpayers there have received more than $8 billion in refunds. It's simple. There should be limits on government spending and refunds when there's a surplus in the state budget. A taxpayer Bill of Rights constitutional amendment would help limit the growth of government. Missouri's budget has nearly doubled in the past 5 years, yet the state lags far behind states like Colorado in economic growth. The Hancock Amendment was supposed to protect taxpayers. Now it's time for an update and a taxpayer Bill of Rights. After all, it's your money. Learn more at showmeinstitute.org. The Show Me Minute has been brought to you by Show Me Institute and Show Me Opportunity.
If you have a phone, you have a radio. Download the all-new News Talk STL app.
Love the all-new app.
And listen anytime, anywhere.
Bill O'Reilly here. Check out the O'Reilly Update this afternoon at 3:45. Right now, it's back to Mike Ferguson in the morning on News Talk STL.
That discussion with Charles Goyette is going to be posted on our podcast here probably next 45 minutes, hour, something like that.
It'll be up by 9:30. Yeah.
It'll be up by now. Okay, so right around an hour, that's going to be up. So I would encourage everybody to put that one out there. Even if you disagree, I think that was a worthy discussion, and there's nothing wrong with challenging the narratives and perspectives, even if that comes from our side. What's the worst that's going to happen? You're going to listen to him and go, no, I disagree. I like where I'm at. Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, I have a copy of his book, so I'm a little bit biased, but I'm about a third through of it. It is phenomenally well written. It does a great job outlining how things are interconnected.
Mm-hmm.
I highly recommend it.
Okay, let's figure out a way to put that up on the News Talk STL bookstore because Gabe was our bookkeeper for the bookstore, our archivist. And so we need to get the login, and we'll put that book up there. Agree, disagree with it, but I actually really appreciated that conversation. You know, a lot to chew on there. Okay, so on the flip side of what Charles Goyette was saying, when will the U.S. ease up on bombing? The president says not yet. Also, a former area police officer is going to prison. Team USA gets a break in the World Baseball Classic, big break, and a SLU basketball player gets a really big honor. All right, let's go and do one more news dump here.
The Morning News Dump, brought to you by the Nutrition Stop.
Successful dump. Wake up, America. It all worked out. You know, I mean, they got all the news.
The Morning News Dump.
Okay, after traveling back to D.C., following a trip to Ohio, and he made a stop in Kentucky to attack one of the most conservative members of Congress, President Trump spoke to the press outside of Air Force One, where he commented on questions about the timeline of the current war in Iran.
Most people say it's already been won. It's just a question of when. When do we stop? We don't want to let it regrow, and ideally would like to see somebody in there that knows what they're doing. In other words, they can build a country.
Okay, and the Speaker of the House, among others, have confirmed, the White House is also saying they are going to go ask Congress for more appropriations to pay for the war in Iran. About $11 billion has been spent already, and we're, 10, 12 days into the war at this point. And reports coming out of Washington, D.C. say the lowest that's going to be requested is going to be about $50 billion, and many say that that's probably too low. It's going to be higher than that.
Yeah, $11 billion at this point means that everybody that's a taxpayer at this time gave $71 to this. So it's just going to keep going up from there, and it would be nice if we learned how to actually manage wars more fiscally responsibly, so my generation isn't stuck working until 110 to pay it off. But
war is very, very, very expensive. You know, now the question comes down to, and I don't want to think of it in terms of like return on investment, because that just sounds very cold and businesslike, but what is the national interest, and is war what protects our interests? I don't even like necessarily war to advance our interest, but war to protect if we're under attack. And so then we have to make up our mind as to whether or not that's actually what's happening.
Yeah.
All right. Senator Josh Hawley is trying to end FDA approval of the abortion pill. So this isn't trying to ban abortions, but it's a backdoor ban by stripping the FDA authorization and approval for mifepristone. And so mifepristone is that chemical abortion pill that's used for the majority of abortions in the United States. We're actually talking about 2/3 of the abortions.
11% of cases, women who take the drug mifepristone for use in an abortion experience a serious adverse health event. Now, that's the technical term. What it means in practice is internal infections, sepsis, hemorrhaging, a trip to the emergency room, a life-threatening condition in 11% of cases.
Okay, the FDA disputes that claim. They say mifepristone is safe and that serious complications are far more rare than that 11%. There are multiple reports that cite that 11%. Others say closer to 1%. Hawley filed similar legislation last year. That did not pass in the Republican majority Congress. Just saying. Okay, a former Florissant police officer going to prison for 2 years after admitting to abusing his authority and searching for nude photos on women's phones. KMOV's Corey Stark has that story.
In December, Julian Alcala pleaded guilty to 20 counts of deprivation of rights, specifically the right to be free from unreasonable search and seizure. Alcala was accused of pulling over nearly 24 women in 2024, taking their phones to his patrol car and searching for photos. He has been ordered to pay a $2,600 fine as well.
Yeah, this is just gross.
And we did have a Rumble comment earlier this morning that the way they found out about this was the officer that did this tried to send the nude photos to somebody
from her phone, texted the picture to himself or something like that.
I wasn't able to go that far, but there was an attempt to at least distribute the illegally confiscated nudes. That's just evil.
Just gross. This guy's lucky that he only got 2 years, to be really honest.
Yeah.
And hopefully this is part of the sentence is he will never act as a law enforcement officer in any capacity. I don't care if it's filing papers. He should never be anywhere near authority over another human being.
Not even as a meter maid.
Nope. All right. Sports. Got a few sports things here. Italy beat Mexico in the World Baseball Classic. You say, well, why should I care about that? Well, Italy beating Mexico, 9-1 final score, means that Team USA advances in the World Baseball Classic. We needed a high-scoring game and ideally Italy to win, and that's exactly what happened. So the U.S. will play Canada on Friday in the quarterfinals, which is also known as the knockout round. So this is the winner here, then goes to, obviously, the semifinals. So Canada on Friday. That's going to be on Channel 2. I think it's at 7 o'clock or so. Cardinals lost to the Nationals in spring training. A final score in that one was 3-1. Redbirds do not have a game today. Blues back on the road. They are in Carolina tonight to play the Hurricanes. Puck drops at 6 o'clock for that one. Game is going to be on FanDuel. And congratulations to Slew's Robbie Avila. That's the really tall guy with the tattoos and the kind of nerdy sports glasses. He is named the Atlantic 10 Conference's Player of the Year. You can't miss him. On the Chaffetz Arena, his picture was like a 30-foot picture of him up there. Player of the Year for the Atlantic 10. He averaged 12.6 points, 4.5 rebounds, and 4.1 assists per game. Billikens play again tomorrow morning in the conference tournament quarterfinals because they got a bye from the first round because they are the number 1 seed. Now, if they win the Atlantic 10 tournament, they would get an automatic spot in the NCAA tournament. Now, if they don't win the Atlantic 10 tournament, now they are favored. They're the number 1 seed. If they don't win, they still could possibly get into the big dance. They're going to play either in the NCAA tournament or in the NIT. They have had a good enough season to qualify for the NCAA tournament, but they have to win the conference tournament in order to guarantee that they will be in the NCAA tournament. So we'll see what happens. They don't know who they're going to play yet because the quarterfinal game is being played to determine who they're going to play.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
We're not going actively to remove the regime. We're going after the people that are killing their own people, and that happens to be the regime.
On Newstalk STL. From the Michaels Flooring Outlet Weather Center.
Meteorologist Chance Scotch with your first alert forecast. Things have really settled back down. A chilly start to the morning with temperatures back towards the mid to lower 30s. This afternoon, highs towards mid 50s, mostly sunny skies. Winds really start to ramp up Thursday night into Friday. Could be seeing wind gusts up to 30 miles per hour. That'll start to taper off into the early morning hours Friday. A high of 61 degrees for Friday, then into Saturday, 63, partly sunny. By Sunday, could see some chances of some rain and even some thunderstorms. That could switch over to some light snow late Sunday night into Monday morning. In the First Alert 4 Weather Center, I'm meteorologist James Gotch.
Fox News commentary with Jimmy Fallon next.
I'm Boomer Esiason. My mom died from cancer. She was only 37 years old. She didn't have life insurance, and that was devastating for my family. That's why having life insurance is so important to me. Ethos makes it fast and easy. Get a quote in seconds, apply in minutes, and get same-day coverage. You can get up to $3 million in coverage with no medical exam.
Get your free quote at ethos.com/save. That's ethos.com/save. Paid spokesperson. Time spent on application may vary. Online health questions required.
Here's Jimmy Fallon.
If the mindset of Democrats is that every black person is poor, okay, that's the old Joe Biden.
Poor kids are just as bright and just as talented as white kids.
That is so psychotically racist. But anyway, take it a step further. But if the mindset is only poor black kids are poor in this country, which is obviously demonstrably false, what do those parents need in order to get welfare benefits? They need ID. So the point is, this is all a farce. Why? Because they know people are voting illegally in elections. Look at it like the Olympics. If there was one country fighting to the death to ban drug testing, you'd automatically assume it's because they were using steroids, and you would be correct. It's no different when it comes to voting. If one party is fighting that hard to ban, for all intents and purposes, drug testing, which is make sure you are legally eligible to compete, you'd go, well, they must be cheating.
For more commentary like this, go to foxnewspodcast.com.
Jeffco Patriot Radio.
Hey guys, Billy Crow here from Jeffco Patriot Radio. As we follow the important issues facing Jefferson County, if you want to stay informed on Jeffco politics, especially in this all-important midterm election year, make sure to tune in this and every Sunday at high noon here on NewsTalkSTL.
Jeffco Patriot Radio.
If it's a big story in Jefferson County, you'll hear about it on Jeffco Patriot Radio. Sundays at noon on NewsTalkSTL.
Rhino Shield is engineered to outlast paint by a lot, backed with our 25-year transferable warranty. Paint a house, shield a home. We do brick, block, stucco, asbestos, steel, aluminum, cedar, and more. We are the only coating company selected by Disney, This Old House, and 3 times on HGTV's Curb Appeal, where all 3 episodes concentrate on unpainted brick. If you maintain or own a business with a tired-looking building, you owe it to yourself to look at Rhino Shield and our beautifully durable color schemes. Evaluations are free. We're making buildings pop and be noticed again, from Champaign to the Lake of the Ozarks, exceeding expectations every day with our products, people, and performance. Now is the time to call 877-25-RHINO, 877-25-RHINO, or go to 877-25rhino.com and see how honest and transparent we really are. Tell them, ladies.
Don't paint, don't Rhino, go Rhino Shield. Never paint your house again. Rhino Shield.
What happens next?
Our objective is to defend the American people by eliminating imminent threats from the Iranian regime.
Happens right here.
They're an evil regime, and this was the final straw.
101.9 and 94.1 News Talk STL.
The secret side of me, I never let you see. I keep it caged, but I can't control it.
Hey guys, Billy Crow here from Jeffco Patriot Radio. Hope you had enough time to freshen up your coffee, because now we're back with Mike Ferguson in the morning.
Okay, a couple hours ago, we had a conversation with, I'm going to mispronounce her last name, Leah Vukmir. She's with the National Taxpayers Union, former state senator in the state of Wisconsin, who's been up close and personal on the tax fights. And she gave us an update. The National Taxpayers Union is pouring into the campaign to get rid of the income tax in Missouri. And I learned a lot from what she had to say a couple hours ago. So I want to revisit that, including a phone call that we got that really challenged her on what could happen. Here's how that discussion went. Now, Leah Vukmir from the National Taxpayers Union joins us right now. And Leah, thanks for being on the program here. Because first, you all are bringing some national ammo to this fight. But you've been there and done that, having been in the Wisconsin legislature, state senator as well. So what do we know about the push to eliminate a state income tax? We know that it can work in other parts of the country. But what are we seeing about states who go from having this to not having it and either replacing it with something else or forcing themselves to cut spending in addition to that? What's that transition look like? Who's done it well?
how do we allay the fears that, the roads aren't going to get fixed and police aren't going to be around and, dogs and cats are going to live together and we're just going to have a horrible, horrible anarchist world now?
Well, good morning, everyone. Thank you so much for having me on the show. And yes, it's exciting. It's an exciting time for your state, and I hope your listeners will be ready to vote and support this resolution that will be on your ballot in November, provided it gets through your legislative chambers. It's already passed one hurdle in your House. Today will be a final vote, and then it'll go over to the Senate. And what we're talking about is a resolution which will eliminate over a period of time your state income tax. And it's a vote that is put to the people. And the people will decide whether or not they want to do this. And you're right, there is a huge trend across the country to start moving in the direction of eliminating completely income tax. And already we have 9 states that have no state personal income tax: Texas, Florida, Tennessee, Nevada, Washington, Alaska, Wyoming, South Dakota, and New Hampshire. But in recent years, other states are making very successful efforts. North Carolina, Indiana, Kentucky, Mississippi, states close to you, I might say, Iowa and Georgia. And so it's exciting to see that you have leaders like your governor. You have the Speaker Patterson, Representative Bishop Davidson was managing the bill or the resolution on the floor. And it is a trend, and it is a positive trend. And the states that move in that direction, guess what they find out? People start moving to the state. People start putting businesses in the state. They want to live in an environment that values their work and doesn't take money right out of their paychecks right off the top before they even have a chance to save, spend, or plan for it. So it's a positive direction for your state, and I commend your leaders for the work that they're doing. Commend you all for talking about it, because it really will be up to the people to decide, and that's a great democratic process.
Leah, you would think that most people would intuitively think, oh, great, I have the opportunity to lower my taxes. I'm all about it. But there seems to be this sort of inherent resistance, at least in some quarters. I don't know if it's like Stockholm syndrome or what. But what do you feel like is the biggest pushback against this sort of change, and how do we go about combating that instinctive resistance?
It's a great question, and I think what people have is a knee-jerk reaction that the sky is falling. This is going to put a huge hole in our budget, and we're going to be in a more difficult financial situation. And, interestingly enough, in your own state over the course of the last 7 to 12 years, you have gradually lowered your income tax brackets. And what has happened is, and I heard this information when I was listening to the debate on the House floor the other day. Of course, yes, I'm a geek, and I was listening to your Missouri debate. In your state, what has actually happened is you've seen an increase in revenue over the period of time that you have actually been moving in the direction of lowering your income tax. So it's astounding to me that people don't understand that what this does is it broadens the tax base. It makes taxes more fair to more people. Because right now, what you're operating with in Missouri goes back to the 1930s. And you have, I think, 216 sales tax exemptions. You have decades of carve-outs that are secured by special interests. And how is that fair? But going to the elimination of the income tax actually creates a situation where it's more fair to more people. And again, your lawmakers will decide if this gets passed in this session, the exact specifics on how this will be done. But what I know for sure is that you will use triggers, which means you will not move faster than your economy is growing. And these are the safeguards and the guardrails that will help maintain and ensure that the sky doesn't fall and you don't blow a big hole in the budget, which is the biggest cry that you will hear from the people on the other side of the aisle.
All right, that voice you're hearing is Leah Vukmir from the National Taxpayers Union, also former Wisconsin state lawmaker as well. So here's one of the other complaints that I'm seeing a lot of here, and they're saying, well, it's about tax fairness, because what you're talking about is there are things right now that are not taxed on sales taxes, and of course in the 1930s when a lot of these rules were written, we didn't obviously have any concept of streaming services and things like that, and that would all be included. So there will be that broader base that people are going to pay sales taxes on. I've heard the argument, Leah, that with income taxes, you have to make so much money before it applies to you. Now, Missouri's is pretty low. Almost everybody pays into it. Sales taxes are economically described as regressive, meaning they hit the poor hardest. So we're actually going to raise taxes on people who are going to feel it more than maybe we would for our Netflix purchase or whatever the case is. What's the answer to that regarding that sort of pushback on the tax fairness by replacing income with a broader sales tax and the different lower economic statuses?
Well, my argument is that income taxes already penalize your work and productivity, and sales tax can be designed to exclude essentials like groceries and medicine. Things haven't been decided at this point, but income tax elimination allows workers to keep more of their paycheck, and that benefits middle-class families, and we have seen this happen. There have been a surge of middle-class families moving to states that have no income tax. Tennessee, for example. I mean, the migration statistics are astounding. And you can go to our NTU.org website and see we have compiled, my colleagues have compiled a map of the United States, and using IRS data that counts how many taxpayers move in and out of states, and what causes them to move is this sort of tax situation. Of course, Florida is number one. A new taxpayer on net most frequently, a new taxpayer, a resident, goes to Florida every 2 minutes and 9 seconds. Guess what state is at the bottom?
California.
Of course. They lose another taxpayer most frequently on net every minute and 44 seconds. Now, Missouri's doing pretty well already. I think you're at 16, and you can probably move that up if you move in this direction, because you have, like Wisconsin, and I love my state, although our highest bracket is 7.65. I wish we were in a position like you are in Missouri. But what you're doing, what you have in Missouri, is a great heartland, Midwest values lifestyle that people want for their families. And you can enhance that one step further by moving toward no income tax. Excuse me.
And what are the structural fixes that we should be looking at? I mean, obviously, we're wanting to phase out the income tax, but there are other elements to this that would be key, don't you think?
Well, right, and that will be the triggers. The triggers, excuse me, I don't know what's happening. It's early in the morning.
We get choked up off this side of the thing, too.
Yeah. I'm a little verklempt.
You talk about being a geek about watching that. When we talk about cutting taxes, I mean, it hits me in the feels, too. It just
absolutely.
Okay, but what we have to understand is the proposal doesn't eliminate it all at once, and this is, I think, the part that the good citizens of your state need to understand. It lowers the rate slowly when the state collects more revenues than expected. So it's kind of like a ratchet that only turns down in one direction. So you start at your current income tax rate, which is 4.7, and then every year the state will look at how much general revenue comes in. If the revenue grows at least $20 million above a set baseline, then the income tax rate automatically drops 0.01%. So every time the state hits another $20 million increase, the rate will drop until it gets below 1.4%. And at that point, this amendment, this resolution, if it becomes an amendment, eliminates the income tax entirely. And then it is part of your state's constitution, which means it can't come back unless another process like this goes through by a future legislature.
Okay, Leah, Susie and I talked to Governor Keogh on the opening day of the session. He was on the show, and he mentioned an aspect of this that I thought was fascinating, and that is you have to control spending in order to make this work.
Absolutely.
And he, of course, Governor Keogh, I've actually known him a long time. He said something to the effect of, if you keep putting feed out there, the hogs are going to keep eating in the trough if you just keep feeding them. So it's a way of restraining that the way that, we like to talk around here. But the other aspect of this is, what have we seen in other states who have done something similar as far as getting rid of a tax and replacing it with something else? Is there a history of that restraining government growth and restraining the spending because it's just not allowed because the dollars just aren't there?
It's an absolutely important part, and I was getting to that part, and I'm glad that you brought it up, because you can't have this discussion if you are a conservative without talking about spending restraint. It goes without saying. And yes, the other states that have done it. Now, Iowa is a great example for me because they've dramatically reduced their personal income tax, and they're moving to a flat tax system. They haven't done it completely. They're not going to a complete 0%. But they have done it in such a way that it's a bit early because they just did it, but they are including spending restraints in that. And I think that's the will and the resolve that you will have to see that will couple any resolution that gets passed and put before the voters. They have to go hand in hand.
Leah, we just got a minute or so left, but are you up for a question from our audience?
Sure.
Okay. We've got Bill.
Yeah, Bill is a union member in Missouri who just had a quick statement about
Bill, you're on now. So you're on with Leah Vukmir from the National Taxpayers Union. Which question, just so you know, Bill, I just got a minute or so left.
So we have a lobbyist for us, and he just came back and said inside that law that you're trying to pass, you're actually going to hike up the state sales tax to 19%. And that's like smoke and mirrors.
Did you say 19%, Bill?
19%.
19%.
That's what
Okay.
it came back with. So you got to find the money somewhere. When you give us a treat, you got to pay for it.
Okay. All right. Hey, Bill, thanks for the question. Okay, Leah, 19%. I have not heard 19% for sales tax.
No, and this sounds like a classic tactic, scare tactic done by lobbyists. Again, no percentage has been decided at this time. That's the beauty of what your resolution is right now. You're putting it before the voters to decide whether or not they want to move in this direction. The actual direction that your state goes will be determined by the next set of elected officials, which the people have a voice in deciding. And again, 19% sounds a little crazy and high. But again, what you're trying to do is you're trying to broaden your tax base to create a more fair tax system. What has happened in other states that have done this is it's led to economic growth, more jobs, migration to the state. And you couple that with spending restraint, and I don't think you're going to be in a situation of a 19% sales tax increase. Again, I think that is just meant to scare people away from a good public policy that would benefit the vast majority of people living in your state.
Okay, Leah.
And new people who want to move to your state, maybe even folks from Wisconsin.
Yeah, we'll take them. We'll take them. It's a little bit warmer down here. All right, so Leah, you all are launching a national campaign website. The billboard's up off the Poplar Street Bridge now, I think. So people want to learn more about your all's take on this and your push on this, and they can compare and contrast with what they're hearing from other places.
Yes, they can find us at NTU, NationalTaxpayersUnion.org. We're the oldest taxpayer advocacy organization. We've been around since 1969, and we're the voice of America's taxpayers. Happy to help out in any way.
Okay.
Thanks so much for having me on the air.
Thanks, you, Leah. All right, then there's a website, looks like no-mo-tax.com.
The secret side of me, I never let you see. I keep it caged, but I can't control it. So stay away from me, the beast is ugly. I feel the rage and I just can't hold it.
Mike Ferguson in the morning.
People talk about federal money as if it falls from heaven. You know, we thank heaven for it, but it came out of people's pockets.
On News Talk STL.
Hello, everyone. It's Fez with the Moolah Shrine Circus. I want to remind you to get your tickets now for our big circus in March. We've got new exciting acts like the Swinging Trapeze, the Daring Horseman, the Human Cannonball, and much more. And kids under 12 are free with a paid general admission ticket. So go to moolah.org and get your tickets today for the Moolah Shrine Circus, March 20th to the 22nd at the St. Charles Family Arena.
I'm Dr. TJ, owner of the Institute of Natural Health, co-owner of Optimal Nutraceuticals, and the host of Wellness One. Wellness One is designed to cut through the nonsense and provide you common-sense science-based information regarding health and wellness. On the show, we discuss topics like thyroid health, gut health, hormone optimization, and many others. Our show airs Saturdays at 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and Sundays at 11 a.m. and 3 p.m. right here on NewsTalkSTL. And you can visit us at inhstl.com. That's inhstl.com.
If you're considering an annuity as part of your retirement plan, we need to talk. Hi, I'm Bob Stockdale, Senior Vice President Investments with the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel and host of On the Money Saturday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL 1019. Annuities can be a useful tool for some retirement investors, but not all annuities are created equal. Every week, we meet clients who own complex annuities that don't suit their needs and, in some cases, actively undermine their retirement plan. Before you purchase an annuity, get a second opinion from the ClearPath Wealth Management Group at Stifel. Requesting a consultation is free of charge. To request a free consultation, contact us at clearpathinvesting.com. That's clearpathinvesting.com, or call us at 636-695-2650. That's clearpathinvesting.com or 636-695-2650. Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member NYSE and SIPC.
The Vic Porcelli Show.
Iran has sleeper cells in Colombia, in Kansas City. Who knows how close to St. Louis? We'll find out with Michael Letts from InvestUSA.org Thursday at 10:41.
Weekday mornings at 9 on News Talk STL.
Hi, it's Vic Porcelli.
And Ken.
Hi, Ken.
Hey, Vic.
Ken and I are on every Monday through Friday here on News Talk STL. Right now, you're listening to Mike Ferguson in the morning on 1019 and 94.1 News Talk STL. Whoosh, my morning, people.
So we're going to have three pretty interesting and provocative conversations posted on social media here in just a little bit.
Yeah, give me about 40 minutes, and all of them will be up and available to share.
And in the meantime, make sure that you're subscribed, not just to the News Talk podcast, but you can actually subscribe to the show itself. And so easy to click it and text it and post it on social media and you name it, especially that one with Charles Goyette, because I'd never interviewed him before. That's the first time I'd ever spoke with him. You may agree with him, you may disagree with him, but I think everybody's going to agree there was a lot to think about with that.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. All right, 8:54 right now. It's kind of funny. I'm looking at my just my personal social media stuff, and normally I don't post that much on social media personally. But I'm trying to get a little more active on there. And I posted last night about the adventure at my place. I get home after my baseball practice. If you're just joining us, here's the 15-second recap. I get back. I go into to a spare bedroom, which I've made into a workout room, basically. And it turns out that I've got a bat.
Ooh.
I've got a bat. Wingspan, like 5 to 7 inches. The thing is flying all over the place. So I let him simmer down, close the door. I go back in. He's like hanging on the blinds. Got a picture of it because I figured somebody's going to want me to send in and say, okay, what kind of animal is this? So I could send that. Well, I guess he didn't like, the paparazzi taking his picture, because then he started squeaking and flying around all over the place again. And I shut the door because I'm not going to try to catch it out of the air because I could hurt it. And then I go back in and I can't find the darn thing.
That's not good.
I was like, what's worse, a bat flying around your room in your home, or a bat's there and you can't find it?
You got the Batman bat experience.
Exactly. I mean, and I thought, like, for instance, in that spare bedroom closet, I've got like my camping stuff, and so I'm like, well, there's a lot of hiding places in there. And I'm pulling all that out. Nope, not in there. Maybe there's a couple drawers where I keep some T-shirts or like cubby things. No, not in there. And animal control officer I was on the phone with, and I didn't catch her name, but she was really cool. And she said, "Do you have an air vent?" Yeah, I got an air vent. She goes, "I guarantee you that's where it went." I almost guarantee. She didn't fully. She goes, "I almost guarantee you that's where it is," because it turns out between her and a friend of mine who used to do pest control, they need about a half an inch in order to squeeze through something. Well, that can get you through an air vent.
Well,
that's all they need. Yeah, they could really apparently, and the air vents, those are 3/4 to a full inch, on those vents. And so we're pretty sure it's in my HVAC system right now, because this was late, and they said, when you've got eyes on it, we'll send somebody out. Otherwise, we got a few other calls, which makes sense. So I got to get back, and then knowing that there's a bat somewhere that I have to chase down, and then I can let the professionals come take it. I don't mind catching the bat and putting it out there, but I'm not a professional, and truly, I don't want to hurt the critter because bats are actually really good for your ecosystem. You definitely want bats, and I don't want to hurt it. But I also, I don't need another pet.
So after the show ends, at some point you have to voluntarily enter a confined space with a known bat on the loop.
Yeah.
Props to you, man. I'm not picking that fight.
Yeah, no. So, and I just need to make sure he's there. And should I name him?
Ooh.
Yeah, I put that out. Somebody said, no, don't name him. Then they have squatters' rights, and then you got to. So I'm going to look at it as this is an undocumented flying mammalian immigrant, and I am in the process of the deportation effort right now. That's due process.
Do you know what they call bats? Chicken of the cave.
Columbo here for my friends at Bluff City Outdoors in Alton. The knowledgeable staff at Bluff City has served the St. Louis outdoor community for decades, and they continue